everyone, and welcome back to NINJAGOCast. I am your Sensei Wolf.
I'm LJ. I'm Mesa.
I'm Sakota.
I'm AJ.
And unlike Lego, we're gonna pretend we saw the Ninjago Crystalized episodes, because we did NINJAGOcast Reacts. They are somewhere in the ether, and we're here to talk about them. Because Ninjago Crystalized is a thing, apparently.
I don't see any evidence. There's no evidence that it ever existed.
They used the reversal blade on us, or at least they're trying to.
They literally sucked it back from whence it came.
We literally posted the episodes and then we're like, oop, bye-bye. Oh, but look at this new exclusive clip of the ninja fighting the mechanic. Wow!
Dude.
It ought to be here, but it isn't.
The clips, actually baffle me. I don't know why it's happening or what the rhyme or reason is, genuinely.
But yeah, so that's not why we're here today. Today we're here to talk about the second comic of Garmadon. Haha, JK, I'm kidding. We're talking about all 12 episodes of Crystalized.
Sorry, Garmadon comic.
Sorry, Garmadon.
You were pretty cool.
You were important until 12 episodes of Ninjago, appeared. So we're going to postpone our talk about the second comic of Garmadon for a later date. Just know that it is out. So go to your comic book shops. You can buy it on Kindle. And the next comic comes out, I believe, June 29th. So keep an eye out for that. We'll definitely have an NINJAGOcast before that date. Just not today. Today is reserved for 12 episodes of Crystalized. Before we get into the discussion, I think we first need to talk about how the episodes came out, because it's kind of a big deal how they released. So to catch kind of everyone up to speed, I'm sure everyone knows at this point, the first 12 episodes of Ninjago came out in what I believe 15-minute intervals on the official Lego YouTube channel. This is the first time Ninjago has come out in the United States exclusively, officially, since season 3.
Yep.
Which, that boggles my brain.
It's a big deal. It's a momentous day.
It is it was...
Long have we suffered watching crusty phone recordings or 240p.
Right?
JPEG style uploads off Malaysian TV channels for our first exposure. It was nice actually watching them in HD in a big batch for a change.
Yeah.
It was a
and
fun
officially,
experience.
Officially in English.
Yeah, that's it.
However, that was only for the US peeps.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they were region locked only for the United States, to the point where I don't even think other countries could even see the episodes, period. Even on the YouTube
see that they
channel.
were up.
See that they were up.
That's how it usually works if it's region locked.
Fair
You don't
enough.
really see it. Yeah.
So obviously, I think the reasoning for that is because of distribution rights. They are going to air in other countries, and Lego didn't want to mess around with that, if you gotta get my vibe, which makes sense. I mean, it's kind of the same thing as if Ninjago dropped on Cartoon Network officially in the United States. If all 12 episodes of Cartoon Network just randomly aired last Friday, and it just happened, only that it's on on the internet instead of on TV. Definitely not super ideal, even though it's kind of the best they could do given the instance.
Yeah.
However, they have since been taken down. So
We don't really know why or what's going on or when they'll be back or when the other episodes will be back. And I have some thoughts, because we've been having this recurring long time conversation about the future of Ninjago on streaming, whether Ninjago could be popular on streaming versus TV, comparing view counts of the different legacy shorts and things. And I have some thoughts on how this strategy of just dumping episodes, walking away, then realizing they didn't promote them at all and probably released them too early, and then privating them, not deleting them, but privating them, will probably blow up in their face and doom this season. But I'll save that for another point.
Yeah.
I mean,
because that's a whole conversation.
I feel like we of course don't know, but it seems very obvious that this was all a big accident because they released episodes before the trailer, which they got the trailer early, but then they just started releasing episodes.
That's so funny to me.
It's very clear. We didn't get a confirmation. We probably never will, but I think it's pretty obvious that this was like they uploaded them on accident, so they took them down again, and we'll probably upload them at their intended upload day after posting a bunch more teasers.
Yeah. And like Sakota said, if you listeners have seen, or if y'all have seen the reaction to the trailer, we mentioned in the trailer that the Lego Ambassador Network supplied us with the trailer, as well as like the embargo for when our react should go up. So we were very well aware that that Friday was trailer day, not episode day. And like Sakota said, the episodes came out before the trailer, which is very, very odd and didn't feel right.
And even Tommy, even Tommy said he didn't know they'd go up on Twitter. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
In general, it's just a pretty weird vibe. And I have lots of thoughts on what this could mean. I just feel like if I go off in the weeds about them, it'll be like 30 minutes before we talk about the episodes. But it's interesting. We're monitoring it very closely.
Yes, it is definitely head-scratching. We're on pins and needles to see what's going to happen next. But I just wanted to kind of start there as kind of, it's a big deal how they were released. This was something that we had been discussing prior. They actually did it. Not a huge fan of 12 episodes at once. But again, United States got the episodes for the first time.
I'm a fan of 12 episodes at once if they had been advertised beforehand.
Yeah, that is fair. If they advertised,
I think dumping them is strange.
Mm-hmm. Without any warning. So, yeah. But yeah, so that's how it happened. Now let's talk about what happens in the episodes.
And this is gonna be probably the most difficult part of the 12 episode release schedule.
I'm guessing we're going to just go ahead and have LJ. Are you down to do a recap of all 12 episodes?
Can we start the LJ Johnson prayer circle?
No.
Everyone, send him your energy. Type LJ in the chat.
No, I'm just gonna do the thing.
So you've got the episode names, and that's about the blueprint that you'll be able to have. It's only 11 minutes though, so it's not too bad. But yeah, LJ, give us a recap of so far what we've seen in Ninjago Crystalized.
Okay. So the season starts off, and we have Felony trying to steal some more Venge Stone with some of her goons, when all of a sudden, a bunch of brightly colored ninja arrive on scene. However, they aren't the brightly colored ninja that we're familiar with. They are actually knockoffs. They are secondary colors, or even, in some instances, tertiary colors, such as teal, yellow, and orange, yellow of which being the worst color. I can say that, Ulti isn't here right now. He can't do anything to me. So these new ninja, as they say, come on scene, beat the bad guys. However, Felony escapes, and they are greeted by the police commissioner, and all is hunky-dory. So we go to the monastery, and some of the ninja, and by some I mean Pixel, Zane, and Cole, are chillin'. They hear on the news about what's happening with these new ninja, and Cole's like, wow. Okay, I see how it is. Rude. Well, they talk a little bit about what's going on. Cole is like, man, I wish we could get back out there. And he goes over to Wu. Wu says a Tommy line and says that he is not able to find a way to bring Nia back to life. Because of course not. Because that's how it should be. Nia should be dead. So Cole's like, I'm going to get the band back together. Goes out to find the other Beatles. He finds, first of all, Kai. Zane comes with him. And Kai is teaching a bunch of kids in a really clever Cobra Kai parody. And he's like, hey, join the team again. Let's do some stuff. Kai's like, you know what? Sure, let's go ahead and do some stuff. I'm down to do some stuff. So what that my sister's dead, and every time I drink a glass of water, I'm reminded of her. It doesn't matter. Let's go. So they go find Lloyd. Lloyd is cleaning windows. He says, I don't want to join you. Moving on, they go to the Lighthouse, where fans of the series are like, that's the Lighthouse, that's super cool. And new fans are like, hey, I want to buy that as a set. And old fans are like, hey, tough beans, go on eBay. So they go to the Lighthouse, and they find Jay, who now has this really great bushy beard. And he has a bunch of glasses of water because he saw the movie Signs and was like, hey, I like that idea. I'm going to just have glasses of water everywhere. So if the aliens attack, well, their weakness is water. So I'm going to just like... Psh, psh, psh. So Jay has gone crazy, but he has a great beard, so we forgive him. And he doesn't want to join the ninja, and the ninja are like, all right, you know what? Fine. We're just going to bounce then. So as they're about to go off, a bunch of lanterns floating along the ocean arrive in a very, very nice, specific pattern along the shore of the lighthouse. They actually referenced this earlier in the episode, saying that they were going to have lanterns in honor of Nia and whatnot. And Jay is like, oh my goodness, that's right, she made an impact. I want to make an impact. And reveals the ugly lie. The beard was fake. And my self-esteem was restored, knowing that I could potentially have a beard as good as that, but I at least can have a beard better than Jay, because his is fake, and he decides to join the ninja. Lloyd shows up, too. Why? How did he know they were there? How did he plan that timing? Doesn't matter, don't ask questions, don't get answers. And that's the end of the first episode. So it took me a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and do the normal recap on this next episode. I'm going to speed through a handful of them.
Okay.
Second episode, The Call of Home. We seen a boat out in a storm. A man is thrown overboard. A man falls into the ocean in Ninjago City. Hey! Build the water dragon. The water dragon suddenly rises out of the sea and takes the guy and chucks him back on the boat. And everyone's like, I know that voice, it's Nia. Because I guess everyone just knows what Nia sounds like, despite the fact she's a giant, bright blue dragon. So she bounces and she's like, Nia, where have I heard that name before? In a very clear and appreciated reference to our original Biocraft Chronicles teaser trailer from 2011. I really love that. So she's like, where have I heard that name? She finds the original Niad, and Niad is like, hey, how's it going? Why'd you save those people, you friggin' weirdo? And Nia is like, well, I saved them because it's just the right thing to do. And Niad's like, what's the right thing to do? I'd just, I'd toss a puppy off a cliff. What's your big deal? And Nia's like, well, that's awfully rude. So they talk for a little bit. Nia kind of figures out who she is. Niad's like, whatever. So Nia bounces, and she's like, what do I do? How do I become, me again? And finds a bunch of the lanterns, presumably before they drift all the way to where Jay is, even though it's night where she is and it's sunset where Jay is. So I guess it's just, leftover lanterns or pollution. Who knows? She reads a bunch of things on the lanterns and is like, Nia, I'm Nia. Jay! And that just triggers her. She has like a Vietnam PTSD flashback of a variety of previous seasons and realizes that she is in fact Nia. She turns back into a person, goes down to talk to Niad, is like, hey, I want my body back. And Niad's like, tough beans. And Niad's like, but I want my body back. I remembered who I am. And Niad's like, well, gotta get rid of your elemental power. And Nia's like, well, how do I do that? And Niad's like, I don't know, tough beans. You gonna go? Nia's like, I'm gonna go. Bounces. End of the episode. All right. Episode 3. Ed Sheeran song. So, the episode starts off. Uh-oh.
It took me way too long.
Space.
This is where we've run into a problem. The Ninjago Wikia, which has been my dire crutch in this circumstance, doesn't have the synopsis for the next episode.
This was the one where they fought. There you go.
This is the one where who fought?
Jay and Kai.
Oh,
What's
okay.
the end of the episode?
But it was they are hostile at the start, which led into the plot, which culminated in the fight.
Okay, you know what? Okay, Monherb
This
has
is
me
the
covered. Thank you,
bench
Monherb,
room.
from the
Yeah.
Patreon chat. Here we go. All right. So, the episode starts off, Jay and the other ninja are chilling in the ninja base, and they're like, man, we got to do something about felony. What are we going to do? She's going after a bunch of Venge Stone. Also, maybe one day we want to bring Nia back, but let's not worry about that right now. So the ninja, through trial and tribulation, managed to find out where the next shipment of Venge Stone is. And then Felony shows up and is like, boom, that's right. I'm aggravated, Felony now. And they start fighting. Well, the fight's interrupted by the new ninja. We briefly get a shot of a fantastic meme from that one movie featuring that one actor, Will Ferrell, I think his name is. No, it wasn't Will Ferrell. Was it Will Ferrell? I don't know. You know the movie? It's Megamind. There we go. I was trying to remember the name of Megamind, but I was still wanting to talk. So anyway, they show up, they fight, battle gets won, Felony gets captured. The old ninja are like, hey, we had that under control. The new ninja are like, you screwed up our plans. We were going to have a tracker in the Venge Stone and follow them to where they are. But you messed everything up. So thanks for nothing, guys. And they're like, all right, fine. We're going to go back and sulk because we're old and dejected. So they go back to the base, and guess who shows up? Glass of water lady. And she's like, help me. Wait, hang on. I can do this better. And she's like, guys, quick. So Zane freezes her to keep her body in one piece. And she keeps on freezing him. Or he keeps on freezing her. It's the other way around. I'm sorry. I'm trying to clean my face off with a bunch of water. Anywho. So they freeze her into a nice ice sculpture. And they're like, how can we save her? Time to figure it out on the next exciting episode of Ninjago. So, next episode. Oh, no. I'm hoping. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh no.
None of these episodes have. I'm flying blind. They don't have any synopses.
Episode 4 is the plan.
Yeah, I know. Wait, no. Episode 4 is a mayor problem.
No, but I know. I mean, it's the plan. I'm giving you hints.
Meso.
Come on, LJ.
It's the mayor problem. What are you talking? Plan? What plan? Stop it. Gosh, confusing. All right, Monherb is like the MVP of this episode. So, after the mayor... So, okay, the ninja are like, we got to come up with a plan. How can we do this? And they're like, Chrono Steel, obviously. It's what was used to drain the elemental power from the Masters of Time and turn them into basically normal people. And everyone's like, that's a fantastic idea. So, they go and they hunt down Kai and Nia's parents. And they're like, hey guys, where can we get some Chrono Steel? And they're like, oh, so you can get some Chrono Steel from Chrono Steel Island. So they all go to Chrono Steel Island, where they get some Chrono Steel and form the Blade of Water. Because, Hands of Time, Blade of Water, it works, okay? Fine, it's the new collectible. So they go back to Nia, they unfreeze her, they take all of her power away using the Blade of Water, and she returns to being a normal person.
Whoa.
The season's over. Happy ending.
Oh, I'm sorry. None of that happened. They were like,
that's their plan.
why don't we just go and get Asphira out, because she one time temporarily took Kai's powers away, so maybe she can permanently take Nia's away. That's a great idea. Okay, let's go do this.
So epic.
Let's talk to the new mayor, which was recently elected. And the mayor is like, absolutely freaking not. Are you people out of your mind? She's a monster. She was one of the most devastating attackers of Ninjago City. We're not going to let her out just so some civilian in bright clothing can be brought back from being a cup of water. So the ninja are like, all right, cool. And they break her out of prison. Next episode.
Epic.
Public enemies 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and now you know how to count to 9. So the ninja break her out. Okay, we do have a synopsis here. All right. Ah, beautiful. Monarch, thank you. All right. So they break her out, and then they go bring Asphira back to Nia. They keep her frozen, and Asphira is like, neat, I'm here. Where's my stick? And the ninja are like, we're going to get you your stick. Calm down. And then at that time, the other half of the ninja show up and are like, yeah, we can't get the stick. It's gone. Steve Jobs hid it somewhere. Turns out the staff has been moved. Fortunately, they talk to Steve Jobs, and Steve Jobs is like, well, he doesn't actually say this, but you infer it. Steve Jobs is like, here is a schematic of where the stick is going that I just so happen to have. Enjoy. So they intercept this convoy taking the stick to a secure facility. So the ninja steal the convoy. Not yet the stick. They take the convoy. They just take a truck and they're like, that's mine now. And so they're flying through the air when the new ninjas show up. And they're like, yo, don't do that. We're the security detail. And the old ninja are like, we're not going to use our names, Lloyd, Kai, Jay, and Zane. I'm forgetting someone. Don't worry about it. They're probably not important. So, anyway, the ninja are like, oh, we know who you guys are now. And the old ninja are like, all right, well, time to fight, even though we were already doing that. So they fight, antics ensue, they get the stick, they bounce. But they're also revealed as the new bad guys. So now everyone wants to arrest them. Moving on. Okay, let me see. Oh, wait, did they bring Nia back in this one?
Not in this one.
Okay, cool.
Nope.
Thank you.
Next one.
Spoilers. So anyway. Next episode. A Painful Promise. This is a quote from Asphira about this episode. This is the revenge I deserve. Revenge. Because of all of you, my cunning has been wasted on stupid origami.
Epic.
Love it.
So, during this episode, Asphira declares war on origami hobbyists. So, the ninja bring the stick back, or they are working on bringing the stick back. Wu is chilling in the Ninjago base, talking to Asphira, and Asphira is like, hey, I hate you, and I want to beat you, and if you're not going to keep me entertained, I'm going to leave, because I don't got my stick. And so, of course, Wu was like, how's about we play a bunch of games? And, or was it Asphira that said that? Whatever. One of the bottom line, they were like, we're going to play a bunch of games. So they go and play a bunch of games. They bake pancakes for everyone, even though it's not for anyone. They just do a flipping contest. They have an eye staring contest. They do a whole bunch of nonsensical things. Ninja come back. We're finally back to the plot. They're like, all right, we're going to need to go ahead and bring Nia back. Asphira, please bring Nia back. Asphira's like, all right, I got this. Give me the stick. Thanks for the stick. Die. They fight for a little bit, but then the new ninja show up to the base. And Asphira's like, you ratted me out again, you rats. And they're like, no, we didn't. They're after us, not you. Now please bring Nia back. So she's like, all right, fine. I'm bringing Nia back, but you got to get me out of here. So she brings Nia back. Dun da da da! And the new ninja attack, and Asphira bounces because that's fine. Don't worry about that. And the ninja are arrested, but Nia is back now. I need to take a breath.
This is the halfway point and the end of the first arc.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to talk about this first arc and then the prison arc, or do we want to let LJ have a breath and do all of it?
Do we want to pause? Because there's definitely stuff that we can talk about like that overarcs across the entire thing. But we can talk about the first initial arc if we want to.
I think we should probably pause, because otherwise we'll just forget details.
LJ's gonna die.
That's fine. That's okay.
All right.
I can take a breath.
The first 6 episodes of what I like to call the Nia revival arc, and the whole
hashtag bring Nia back.
The whole like premise of the season, because everything else that happens is predicated on this train of events.
Sort of. The Crystal King stuff is a little by itself. But
without the ninja being in prison, they wouldn't have been as tipped off to where to go and who was involved. Because Kabuki Mask wouldn't have shown up.
That is true.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and talk about the first 6 episodes. Well, before we start with the first 6 episodes, let's start with the first episode, because that one is kind of by itself. The rest of it is, episode 1 and 2 are very much by itself, and then 3, 4, 5, and 6 are
more traditional.
So we'll start with the first episode.
It was beautiful.
It was
great.
Really, really well done. Well written, enough to give us the little bit of action we need with the new ninja. We got to meet them, which we'll get back to them. But also we got to see where each ninja is at, how they're dealing with Nia's grief. We get, of course, the bombshell that it's been 1 year exactly since Seabound, which is really, really cool, because it's almost been 1 year since Seabound came out, which is like freaky in its own way. But we get to see how all the ninja are dealing with their own grief, how it's affecting all of them. And within 11 minutes, we get a resolution to it. While it's rushed, I wouldn't say it's not deserved. What are y'all's thoughts about this first episode?
Well, it was very beautiful. I feel like all the dialogue was well written. Most of the dialogue was well written. and the performances in general were among the
voice
best.
acting was fantastic.
From the
Especially
characters that I've
and
seen.
Vincent Lloyd was really great on his like elevator thing.
The boom.
They all had very good moments. It did feel very like Tournament of Elements adjacent.
Yeah,
but I think if you go back and you compare the execution of those scenes, this one is definitely stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's good.
I have to give a shout out to Michael Adam Thwaite. He did that was probably the best performance of Jay I've heard in like years.
It's almost like he's a very good actor, but he's not like screaming all the time, you know.
He did a fantastic job going back and forth between kind of like comedic Jay, going crazy Jay, and also like, wow, we need to take Jay seriously, Jay. Sort of, it was really, really.
I do have some gripes about Jay, but I want to save them for when we talk about episode 3.
Okay.
Yeah, Jay, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
For most of it though, it was very good. My only thing that I thought was kind of half baked is the resolution with Lloyd, because a lot is left to infer. You have this big long conversation with the ninja and Jay, and then Lloyd literally just strolls up. It's like, hey guys, I came to the same resolution, off screen. And I know they infer that it's because of the memorial. Yeah, but I don't know.
He had a good line about saying if Nia was here, she would kick our butts and say, "Get back to it."
Yes,
which I mean is something that he had to think on his own. But I'm glad we got to hear it at least once.
I have very few complaints about episode 1. I think it was very well produced.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole time skip thing, I think was very like, in a way, it's very cool that it's been over a year for us too.
That's a good point. I hadn't considered that.
Because of the like the way core worked and because of the way Seabound aired. But like it's a good way to like sell the time jump better, I guess, to the fans.
It kind of puts us in that mindset.
Yeah, exactly.
Time has passed, let's catch back up with the characters and see where they're at. It does strain the bounds of credulity a bit that they would just all leave. Like,
you mean
Lloyd
in a year?
Just not living there anymore and just completely given up. Kai, like, is the implication that Kai doesn't do anything with them either, or was he just teaching a class?
I think they all split up. I mean, they probably didn't split up immediately after because they started looking. Yeah, like I'm sure they worked and tried after Seabound, but then one by one, or at least they might have split up at one point. Because it's been a year. Like, a lot can happen in a year. Like,
what does that logic look like in a progression sense, though? Lloyd is one day he's just like, he's sad, and he's like, I don't want to be with my friends anymore. I want to go get a job with working on Windows.
What they tried to imply, like they said that, I think was it in this episode or in a later one? They said like Nia is the glue that held the team together, and I feel like I think that's what they're trying to go for. That like without Nia, the team couldn't stick together.
That's an interesting point.
That was a very interesting point.
If you think like about the logic sequence of event, it still seems a bit like a stretch that they just all completely split up.
Considering Nia only formally joined the ninja team in Possession, I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, Nia was there like early on, and Nia's the reason why Kai ever joined the ninja team. So it's true that like Nia's the reason they're a team.
That's true.
Yeah, that is fair.
That's all I got for
I remember Cole dropped the knowledge that Benthamar gave up as well, and maybe around the time that Benthamar gave up, some of the others gave up as well.
You hate to see it.
Hate to see it.
My boy Benthamar back in
I mean, he says he's going back to rule, so he's the king.
Yeah,
so
he's the king now.
cool.
Good for him.
Good, yeah. Like Cole said, good for him. I guess. Let's talk briefly about the new ninja, because this is our first meeting with them.
They're so epic.
We can talk about them later, but their intro.
They're so much fun.
I loved as we were watching them, we were like, they're so epic. And then by the time they left, we were like, what is
suck.
going on?
But wait, no, not actually.
Not
It was a
actually.
ruse. They are actually. Yeah.
They are really, really cool.
I went on a roller coaster of emotions with them where I was like, are these guys just like try hard clowns or are they actually smart? And it was like, no, they are actually smart. I respect that. They're just like
the best thing about them is that they are tryhards but still like kind of smart. Because like they are super entertaining and funny and ridiculous, but they're not like incompetent characters just like there to hate them.
Yep, I think that's important for them and not making them generic and forgettable.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was gonna say something. Oh my gosh, I was good. And then other things about them that I appreciate that they like are almost like our ninja. Like they, I mean, of course, obviously they pose. They have similar-ish weapons. And then one of my favorite lines the main leader said is like, "Remember, guys, ninja always keep trying."
Yeah.
So it's like they're not copywriting the other ninja, but they're close.
I feel like they hit like a really good spot of like how maybe like kids in Ninjago who see like the ninja on the news would try to act to be like them. Yeah. So it's like pushing it a bit more, just going a bit more over the top than like the ninja we already have.
Yep.
And then, as Nightmare Freddy Krueger said in the YouTube chat, we're never gonna get those minifigures. It's not gonna happen.
It baffles me, truthfully. Like, why is Ninjago like this? They keep making characters.
It just keeps going, and it's not finished for this season either. It keeps going for the season, but we'll get to that later. Before we move on to episode 2, AJ, LJ, any thoughts on episode 1?
Not anything that's not already been said, to be honest.
Fair enough.
New Ninja Rock. Woo!
Yeah.
AJ's ready to talk all about episode 2, though.
Yeah.
LJ, any last thoughts before we move on?
I thought it was an excellent episode. It was a good reintroduction to everyone, and I especially enjoyed the framing of how Wu's ninja are... I mean, it gets reinforced further down the line. Wu's ninja are wildly inept at times and highly destructive, but these new ninja, whom we know nothing about, and who presumably weren't trained by Wu, are like remarkably proficient and self-sufficient. And I've just... That, to me, is a wonderful framing by the show in the...
There's a commonality here.
The world, yeah.
To be fair, though, with like Wu's track record, I mean, I could see him training those ninja in the past.
He could have, but I don't think he did.
No.
Ninja, there's something I haven't told you. I have more pupils.
And they're gonna replace you. And I love them more. Anywho, all right, let's move on to episode 2, The Call of Home. Holy cow.
So I don't want to be hyperbolic, because admittedly it's been a while since I've seen like the whole show, let alone did like critical analysis of it, which I very much like to do. This is probably in my top 5 episodes. Probably ever.
Wait, really? Oh.
I think so. I just have a thing for bottle episodes. Episodes that are like completely disconnected, focusing on like a specific character, and usually with some kind of like creative spin on like the cinematography or the framing. They're always my favorite episodes in whatever story chooses to use them, because it's usually a very like introspective one, because you remove from the rest of the main cast and you literally like just zoom in on this one or a few characters and like their interactions and stuff. So having an episode solely focused around like Water Nia, which is an amazing visual, just like going around like rediscovering her humanity and seeing like the weight of her actions, still saving people basically out of habit, those people knowing who she is was a really nice touch, and then synchronizing it all with the memorial in probably one of the most like beautiful scenes they've done in recent memory, both in terms of like visuals and emotions, where she like sees the messages from people and remembers who she is because she knows like the impact she's made. The only thing I didn't like about it, I think AJ, you were the one who like, were you the one who pointed this out, or did somebody else be like Nia's hair?
Yeah.
Wasn't
Hers looks a bit weird. Yeah.
bit weird, isn't it?
She looks like a Dragon Ball Z character.
Yeah. Well,
It's
I mean,
supposed to be like octopus, right?
I think it's just supposed to look like wild in the water, but like the water's hard to animate anyway, so I can't like I don't have too many gripes. It's just when it doesn't like it just looks really off, you know. And every time she was on screen, I was always focusing on that because I was like,
everything else was moving but the hair.
Yeah.
I might be overselling it, but I don't know. It just made a strong impression on me, and I loved it.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job walking through what Nia was going through. And I remember, I think, saying this in like the Seabound, like when we talked about Seabound and NINJAGOcast, how there was like probably like a 1% chance of us like taking Nia coming back in a good way. Like anything else, we would just think is awful. You know, how dare they? It's ruining Seabound and whatnot. And I think I can safely say that 1% ended up happening.
Don't jump ahead.
Well,
I still have reservations.
Yes, there's still reservations, but we are at least considering it. We are considering it, which is part of that 1%. The rest of it is like, no. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? Now we're like, I see what they're doing. I have to see it play out.
Real quick.
I'm still mad, but like,
yeah,
you know.
Yes. Okay.
YouTube chat. Tommy Anderson says, "Hi, just dropped in. Did you notice the Destiny symbol at the end in episode 1?
Destiny?
Does it mean like when they put their hands together at the end? Is that what he means?
Oh shoot!
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
When it forms the symbol from like it is in March of the Oni.
Very clever.
Wow, I did not make that connection. I'm gonna be honest. I did not notice that.
Oh,
but
it's a really nice touch.
And then of course they zoom out to see all the ninja. Well done, Tommy. Well done.
Well done.
All
right,
wow.
Continue. I didn't even notice that.
Thank you for joining us, Tommy.
Thanks for joining.
I was just terrified.
We're talking about Nia coming back, Tommy. But yeah, it's definitely like I was on the boat of, you know, if Nia comes back, there better be a good reason. And I think that this is a good enough reason. I just have to see how Nia now as a character grows because of it. And the path that we're on right now isn't too promising, but also we've barely gotten any of that path shown to us.
I'll save my thoughts on Nia for episode 6 or onwards. I'm just pointing out like this episode. Nothing grievous happens in it. It's just a good episode.
Yeah.
We got footage from pre-Wildbrain. What? Like we got Skybound footage in here. That blew my brains.
Yeah.
I was very much in the please don't bring her, just bring her back camp. But I mean, that doesn't mean I wasn't like expecting it to happen. And I can't be mad because the execution in this episode was really well. So I feel like it's the best that it could have been.
Well, I mean, when we were all like watching it, none of us were really talking. We were just so fixated on the episode.
It was beautifully done.
Yeah.
There's something about like about episodes like that. They speak to me, yo, on like a personal level. I feel it. I'm not heartless. I feel what you're putting down, show.
And I haven't mentioned it yet, but I know Tyler and I, we've discussed this before. I have noticed a incredible jump in animation in this season. Like it is like this episode, especially with like water and how like Nia was reflected in the water, and when she like moved her dragon head, when she was like right on top of the waves, looked gorgeous. But even like the texturing and everything, like It is so,
Yeah.
I
so
just
good.
didn't get that impression from the clip that you did, which was the alleyway in episode 3. But I
Yeah.
definitely get it.
The textures are really like improved a lot, especially also like I think the backgrounds look a lot better in this season than like early Wild Brain.
Yeah.
And yeah, the lighting
Oh,
too. So it's great.
Yeah. It's getting very close. Not to compare. Well, I am comparing, but it's getting close to like Will film levels of like lighting, cinematography, and texturing, which is astounding.
It's a different style, but I feel like with like the new, I don't know if it's new tech or with what they can do now, they can pull off the things they couldn't before, which was like the very like moody shots while Will film someone sometimes had. Yeah.
So I'm very, very happy. I'm in awe of what, and it also helps that we're seeing them in HD for the first time instead of like
Definitely.
crusty.
Yeah.
I have not seen a Wild Brain season in glorious HD to start with.
Oh wow, we need to change that.
I mean, I've seen them now because we watch them on Netflix.
That's
not
okay.
Not at the point in which we discussed them on this show.
Yeah.
So, AJ, LJ, any last thoughts on episode 2 before we jump into the #Save Nia arc?
Just the beautiful episode, and I really enjoyed it watching it because I mean I would have enjoyed it regardless because it's Nia, but yeah.
Cool. LJ?
I thought it was an excellent episode. It was remarkably well structured, and it hit every tone the best it could have. I still don't know how I feel about her just kind of regaining her memories and coming back, though.
I have many thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it this episode, but I thought that for what it was doing, the episode was very solid.
Huge credits to Braggy for pulling that off. Huge credits to Braggy and his team. But yeah. All right, let's move on to 3 through 6, which is the hey, look, it's Nia. We need to save her. Let's break the law since we're not allowed to do it. And we broke the law. We saved Nia. We're going to prison. That lovely arc.
Yeah. I don't really have a lot to say about the individual episodes here. So I don't think we should really do it on that line of thinking. I mainly just want to point out like overarching themes in these episodes. Stuff like how they bring Nia back, what the ninja do to bring her back, and the after effects of that. I want to start off with, in episode 3, the conflict between Jay and Kai. Because there's lots of really good scenes between them where they basically have dialogue back and forth because Jay's like depressed and Kai's like, get your act together, you know, Jay. They do their whole thing where they fight the, you know, what's her face? Misdemeanor and get saved by the new ninja, where the new ninja reveal they're actually smart and did the tracking device. But it's when they go back to the Samurai X cave and they have like their actual fight that the real thing happens. AJ, you had some beef with this. Do you want to explain your perspective? Because I feel like you and I line up pretty well about this.
With like the fight style.
Yes, the fight and the water and all that.
So I kind of hate that the way Nia kind of comes back is through a glass of water. Like I understand it from, you know, the perspective of they established it in the first episode, so they're bringing it back. But like, wouldn't it make more sense if you could have to have used the like kind of, I guess, thing that had a bunch of water in it from her funeral? Wouldn't that have been more impactful than like a glass of water? Because watching it, I was like I understand that Jay was kind of, you know, he was, because they made a whole thing about him, like talking to Nia through water, but like, it was hard for me to kind of, you know, kind of get fully on board with that because they were going so much like back and forth with him being like, I talk to Nia this way, but then also being like, nobody remembers Nia, nobody cares anymore. And so just seeing them argue over like water getting spilt out of a glass, I was just kind of like, this seems a bit kind of dumb, to be honest. I can't like take this seriously. It doesn't feel as like the like, you know, because you want a tipping point with that, but that didn't feel like a tipping point. It just kind of felt like a dumb we need a conflict here.
Tommy in the chat said it was the sprinklers.
Yeah. Is that a reference to Seabound when she accidentally like sets off the sprinklers?
Possibly.
Tommy also said she tried to manifest it in the spilled water but couldn't. So when the sprinklers came on, it like gave her more water.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it goes back to the point where like if it was the urn, I also like the urn would be cool. Is it like I say, is it an urn or a vase?
I mean,
either one.
Listen, normally it's an urn, but in her instance, it was a vase.
Yeah. But I guess the only reason why I wouldn't see that down there is because they wouldn't want to put something like that in like their headquarters, you know, with all like their mechs and vehicles and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like it feels like it'd be a really odd spot.
That's the common point I've seen.
But to be fair, like the scene could have taken place in another location, right?
More or less. The only thing that would change, like the variables of where the scene is from the Samurai X cave to the monastery, is the decision to put it in the Samurai X cave instead of the monastery.
Yeah.
And like, I guess I just want to like, okay, so you might say like, well, why does that matter? You know, that it's the water and not the urn. Well, it's because of like, what's the word? It's like tonal dissonance. So Jay being like a little crazy and talking to water was like a joke. It was played as a joke in episode 1. It was one of the only moments of levity in episode 1. So then bringing it back later on and reincorporating it as at least partially the linchpin behind like Nia coming back and a heated moment. I'm like, I don't know if it really worked for me. Now the explanation that it's the sprinklers definitely like helped because of all the water. Okay.
Yeah.
On like a technical level, that does make sense when you outline it like that. But like I never had the thought watching of like, I don't know if there's enough water for her to form. You know, that's not what I was focusing on. I was focusing on the emotional conflict. And if they knocked over the vase, that would have been like heavier hitting.
Yeah.
The only like reason I could see it for them like being insistent on having the scene in the Samurai X cave is that when like once Nia comes back, they freeze her and they can't move her. So all the other scenes have to take place in the Samurai X cave too because they do the mission planning. Yeah, but that's a whole other thing. Why didn't they just put her in? Why didn't they just put her in the freezer? But
put Nia in the freezer. We got a super chat. I'm gonna quickly read out loud from Neon Jays. Thank you, Neon Jays, for the $5 donation. Neon Jay says that Jay started the fight so fascinating that he's gone back to the violent displays of anger he had in early seasons due to his grief. I did also think it was interesting that he was the first one to instigate the fight. Like Kai was apologetic and then Jay just kicked him in the gut. And it does feel on character for Jay. Like when he gets emotional, he does get violent. And of course, Kai, if anyone kicks him, then Kai is the type of person to be like, I don't care if you're my best friend, my sister, or my dad, I'm going to fight you. So it felt like a very organic fight scene. Again, the discussion is like, but you're doing over spilled water, which I guess if Jay is really that far gone, like if he looked at every glass of water with like, you know, sad eyes, then I can see where the anger would come from. But
it's not like it doesn't make sense. It's not like it's a plot hole. It's just, I don't think it hit in quite the way I wish it would have hit with just a literal, like, slight change to, like, the background and the prop. You know, you just tweak both and it becomes a lot more impactful.
Yeah.
Here's the way I, like to think about it is that this isn't the moment Nia really came back. The moment Nia really came back is 1, when she regains her memory, and 2, when they take her powers away, which are both like very dramatically well executed moments.
That's true.
So I think it's very excusable that this one might be like underwhelming in a way or something. so I don't really doesn't
like
really
a
matter too much to me.
Yeah. Well, all right. Tommy has commented again. Thank you again, Tommy, for giving us this beautiful insight. He says if Kai hadn't blasted and also destroyed Cole's motorcycle, but that's a different topic of discussion, the sprinklers wouldn't have gone off and Nia wouldn't have been able to manifest. That was the discussion in the story room. There needed to be enough water. All right. That's fair.
See, this is interesting. I greatly appreciate this insight into the writer's process. Because usually I feel like a lot of my critiques about Ninjago are very like technical criticisms.
Yeah.
And like the thematic stuff is usually like A+. And now this is a weird moment where I'm like, well, I wish this had been more thematic. And instead there was like a very technical discussion. That's interesting. Like I personally speaking, me being me, I would not have questioned it. If they had like knocked over the vase from the funeral, I'd just be like, oh yeah, there was a lot of water in that.
But they had to like if Nia had to like fight her way back then, because I think I even mentioned the reacts, like I saw like the glass move, like I saw water move in the background. It just wasn't like highlighted. Like maybe if we seen like when the water was like moving around the table, like to see like a hand come out and then just like go back in, which I think was implied. But yeah, I mean,
not the end of the world. I just wanted to talk about it because it was like
that's fair.
It was a little
it's a big moment, but it's also not the biggest moment for Nia's return.
Yeah. And I appreciate that insight, Tommy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
Very, very interesting. Let's talk a bit about
the plan
and Asphira coming back.
LJ, I'm gonna be real. I didn't even think about Chrono Steel.
So that's the problem. I didn't either until I was reading like responses and tweets and stuff and comments in our React videos.
Mm-hmm.
And people were mentioning Chrono Steel, and I was like, Chrono Steel, what's Chrono Steel again? And someone mentioned it's what the hands of time, the time blades, my bad. The time blades are made of. And I'm like, oh no. What? No. Because I totally accepted Asphira as a
solution.
Yeah, like it's a modern solution. It makes perfect sense. She's still around. It's like, okay, yeah, no, I totally get that. Fun fact, Chrono Steel is also used in Chen's staff. It's the blue crystal in the Staff of Elements.
Really?
Are you sure?
Okay,
I think it's not.
All right. I'm reading it off Ninjago Wiki. Reading it. That's where I got that from.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe there's no citation. They're not like BSO1, so I don't know. That's just what it says.
Chrono Steel also recently showed up in Amber Legacy, but I thought the crystal was a different material.
Yeah, because Chrono Steel is steel, and the crystal that Chet had was a crystal.
Never mind. Okay.
The same...
Chrono Steel is
steel.
So
okay, never mind. The exact phrasing is, it was also used by Chen to make the blue crystal in the Staff of Elements. That's what it says.
Okay.
I could see it as like an addition to this staff.
I think the crystal of Chen's staff is the same they have like in the cave they hide in Tournament of Elements, but
interesting.
Yeah.
Quickly before we engage, we have one more super chat from Neon Jays. Says psychosis is consistent for Jay in times of stress. He had hallucinations in season 9 as well. Crystalized is phenomenal from a psychological perspective.
Thank you for your insight.
Thank you for your insight, and I agree. There's a lot of psychological stuff, especially in the first episode. We'll talk about Zane because he has kind of an important psychological thing going on as well. We'll get to that like in the second batch of episodes. And then Tommy also said, in regards to the water thing, earlier drafts had the water react in sync with Jay's emotions, which I think is also really cool. But,
yeah, I would have loved to see that. That sounds awesome.
I could see how it's hard to pull off, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the discussion about Chrono Steel, or at least the Chrono Steel exists. It depends on how they used it, because Nia would have to, like, I guess maybe blast water at Chrono Steel, because I don't know how they would have been able to. Well, I guess I think they probably moved fast because they had Nia there, and earlier, like when they're trying to figure out how to save Nia, they had no way to get to her. So like maybe Chrono Steel was on the table, but because they didn't have Nia, it wouldn't have worked. They would have to find her and then get the Chrono Steel. But it is I mean, it's possible according to Ninjago lore, but it also is very difficult to explain what happened to the Hands of Time.
I would have enjoyed them at least talking through why Chrono Steel isn't an option. But at the same time, I can think about why it might not have been an option. If it's to the point where she's like, literally, if she unfreezes, she will just like evaporate out of there. It's not like she would be able to, fire off her elements and stuff on them, because the only way they were able to do it with
the Hands of Time,
is because they blasted.
Yeah.
So
they unpacked their power on top of Wu and Garmadon.
I was sent a citation in regards to this. It is cited. So it says here on Lego.com, an older variant. The Staff of Elements was forged from 2 rare elements: blue crystal found in the Crystal Caves and Chrono Steel. Chrono Steel is the only metal that is capable of absorbing the powers of living beings. So I guess
it worked together.
I think it's the staff that like basically absorbs the element and the crystal stores them.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Which, I mean, at that point, I guess maybe it is possible that a Sphere's staff is made of Chrono Steel, and this is a pointless conversation.
Entirely possible.
That is very possible. Actually.
Possible, yeah.
Because it was a special staff. She couldn't do it with any other.
She was very very specific about having that staff, and I mean, in all fairness, she used use magic in order to enact that process. Also, real quick, Boydo in the YouTube live chat sent the script from that, and I do appreciate that. I was sent the citation on the website from Zeros. So thank you, Zeros, and thank you, Boydo. I appreciate it.
Both of you.
So
Ninjago lore.
But yeah, so it's maybe it is. Maybe it is
I could buy that.
I could totally buy that. Chrono Steel is extremely rare and hard to get, so they couldn't do it in time before Nia would melt away. So I don't really care too much. There are of course, there are in the 10 years we have of Ninjago, there are a bunch of other ways to remove people's powers we've seen. So
the only thing I would say to that is they had a year to think about it, and so all of those ideas would have been fresh on their mind. But then again, Nia just showing up one day is just oh my gosh, what do we need to do? And when she was we need to drain powers, the first thing they thought of was a sphere, because it was the most recent event to them. So
I mean, awesome. Prime Empire was more recent, and the Vengestone and Master of the Mountain was also more recent.
True.
But yeah,
I wonder what would happen if you put Vengestone on her. If she would if the element would go away, or if I think she's too far gone where Vengestone probably wouldn't even work at all.
There are some interesting comments here.
Okay.
YouTube live chat. The Meebleton says, I think the reason they didn't use Chrono Steel is that they didn't have time to forge it. They said it took days in Hands of Time, and they could only keep Nia frozen temporarily.
Yeah.
When Ray and Maya forged the Chrono Steel blades, the time blades, they used up all their power for it, and they were also it's the Master of Water and the Master of Fire forging together using their powers to create them, which isn't possible since Nia couldn't help out.
Yeah, couldn't help.
So
that's a good. Okay, you know what? So that is fair in that instance. All of this being the case, Asphira was the most logical answer.
Yeah,
makes sense. That being said, even if it was the most logical, it was also completely logical why the mayor was ha ha ha, nope.
Yes. I think that is a really good point. As much as the mayor is not making himself to be a great role model, he did have very good points about why you shouldn't unleash Asphira again. He cares about the people. He cares about, why Asphere was put in prison the first time, and like, ha ha ha, y'all are crazy if you want to take her out. Like,
Yeah.
I'm doing this for the sake of the people.
The only thing that kind of felt weird with that to me was like, I remembered the episode, like, was it like Snake Catastrophe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Where like the whole Asphere attack really wasn't a big deal to the people of Ninjago. Yeah.
That is fair.
But like in the context, I feel like it totally still works, and like that episode was more comedic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, he can probably like he's a politician. He can probably like stir it up. He's like, "Aren't you mad that your car commercial was ruined because snakes just appeared one day?" And they're like,
Well,
"Yeah,
I was
I'm mad
thinking
about
it. Like one of Ninjago's greatest villains, and I was like, is she really? But like, in terms of property damage and attacking the city, she might actually be. Like my first thought was like Moro, a literal cursed realm demon, and I was like, that really only hit like a backwater city.
Mm-hmm.
Realistically, like Notakon didn't really happen. The Time Twins, nobody even knows who they are. Garmadon,
the Overlord, probably.
Was a villain, but
the biggest things that affected the city is the Great Devourer, the Overlord, Overlord Part 2, and
Emperor
rebooted.
Garmadon 2.
Emperor Garmadon, obviously, with
I would
Hunted.
say Asphyra is top 5.
Asphyra is up there, yeah.
The only 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I would say that maybe the worst thing that's happened to Ninjago City was Seabound, because that is like an insane amount of damage. Hunted comes close because there were buildings destroyed, but like having your entire city underwater and then coming back to all of that damage is a little horrific.
One thing that's a little weird about this season, obviously they're talking about the ninja doing like property damage or whatever. They're not really being as specific as I thought they would, like citing the events of Seabound. Because you're right.
Yeah.
I don't like it's very horrible what happened.
Mm-hmm. Like, why do you think Lloyd got a window cleaning job?
True.
Like, the windows are probably awful after being under like seawater for days.
That's a good point.
Possibly days. I mean, I don't know how long Seabound, like the finale actually was. It was maybe like a day.
I mean, they slept at least once.
Yeah. So like it was bad.
I think my problem isn't so much with the plan; it's how they carry out the plan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually one of my biggest complaints about the season, possibly my biggest complaint, and it's only going to like multiply in frequency when we get to the last 6 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
The ninja are capital, italicized, bolded, and underlined moron.
Ninja or Kai?
Ninja.
Kai is like
primarily.
Zane's pretty like good.
Yeah.
I guess Zane is logical, but like there are points where Zane does things that are stupid, but the story just breezes past them. Zane used his powers.
Don't use your powers. And then
Zane used his powers in episode 4. Ice.
Lloyd did too, yeah.
Who else can just manifest a big sheet of ice out of nowhere? That should have been the tip-off that it was actually Zane.
He's morons, but you know who's more moronic?
The people there,
the
like
police officers. Who did that?
Right.
They were wearing all black. We don't know who they are.
They could have just not done that, and it would have been fine. But the fact that they went out of their way to show Zane using powers, and then no one like calling that out, is just like baffling to me. But you're right. The worst offender is Kai. All throughout the plan, he's like screwing things up. He's just generally being dumb. He has no critical thinking skills. He gets them outed in episode 5, and then throughout the season, it multiplies with him.
It's on brand. It's on brand for him, though.
I feel like it's on brand for the worst version of him, the version of past in season 2.
With Kai, like his character's like that he's hot-headed, but that often like goes into he's reckless or straight up stupid, and I feel like that's like going too far in that direction sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
when I think of Kai, here's I guess the best way to put it. To me, Kai as a character, his brand of hot-headed is I'm gonna run into the burning building to save the person, that I love. Without thinking. It's not, or at least it shouldn't be, don't say our names, copy Zane. I'm not gonna say your name, Zane. That's the wrong kind.
I mean, the thing with that is that they're not used to doing that. and like they had been doing it for a couple minutes, they've been fighting, and then all of a sudden like they go through a billboard. And at that point, Kai is probably more shaken that the thing went through a billboard than he is about like them trying to stay undercover. It was like he forgot about it for a second because they're like in actual danger. And he, of all the ninja, like if you had to write that scene and you had to out the ninja and one of them had to say the other ninja's names, which ninja is the most likely to accidentally say someone else's name?
I mean,
Jay
again,
could be the one too.
I don't
Jay
feel it
could.
could be anybody. I don't
I
feel
mean-
like that's the way they should have been outed. I feel like it would have been so obvious to just have like their hood get like ripped off in battle. They're
yeah, but
fighting
also
against,
the other
competent people.
the other competent people also, like, I'm sure they would rip their hoods off, but like they also didn't try to.
Why?
Like
why?
they only ripped the hoods off when they were like, wait a second, did you just say Zane?
I know. Again, I'm not saying like. I guess I should re-clarify. My point isn't explicitly
Yeah.
the ninja are the stupidest people ever. It's that the collective brain cells of everybody involved is like a singular brain cell,
Mhm.
and I don't know why that is. I feel like the plan, the plot could have been written exactly the same if you just make like the inciting incident like different. But they went for the solution that makes
Yeah.
everyone lack critical thinking skills, and that just
I
kind of
mean-
frustrates me.
Yeah. I mean, also, like, as soon as they started the first mission, they all said each other's names at the start
I
when
know.
they were in the prison, and they're like,
I
wait, we can't do this.
I
Like,
know.
It's something they're not used to.
But that
They're
was
not,
just a joke.
I know,
think-
but it's something that they're not used to. They've never had to do this before, and the first time that they have to do it, they were fine for most of it. The moment that like something jarring happened that kind of took them out of the moment, they reverted back to what they're used to doing, which they couldn't do in that situation because they're like, wait a second, no names, crap, okay, like.
I think they
one of
also
those-
wanted to drive home the point that they're like out of practice, not fully concentrated, not in their
Mhm.
best form.
Oh yes, I have.
But
Nia's actual revival.
yeah,
I. How do you feel about Asphira just like going? So anyway, I started blasting, and then immediately, like 10 seconds later, just being chill. Was that weird to anybody else?
It was
What?
weird. It was the conflict of the episode, and they kind of
mean-
it felt very shoehorned in there that they had to do some conflict. And then
I
of course
think
they did
it's-
some more conflict later with the new ninja.
It was the right thing to put in there because like Asphira's whole thing is that she's like the template for Wu's thinking to never trust a snake. She's like the ultimate betrayer, so if she just did what the ninja wanted, I think that would have been worse. That would betray Asphira as a character. And they had like the little plot point, I guess, with only the ninja know the exit, so she needs that knowledge to get out before the police comes.
Will you turn
So-
us Andrew?
No,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah,
Agree.
that's basically true.
Mhm.
You're completely right.
Especially since she's gonna be a general, like she can't just like grab the staff and immediately do what the ninja say. Like she has to be proven to be villainous. And that was a good way of getting that point across, but also comedically because she was like she picked up her origami and like cursed them, and then she threw it on the ground and
I don't
continued
know.
blasting.
It's not that
But-
it doesn't make sense, and you're right, it is on brand. It's just, I guess it's more the fact that she was just like chill a few seconds after. I guess it's because the
Yeah.
cops showed up.
Yeah.
And they
She
had to
didn't want
calm
to
her
go
down.
back
Yeah.
to police.
Can we also say on the subject of Asphira, the voice actress changed?
Yes.
yeah.
And I don't know why. Possibly they just couldn't get her back, but the new one is doing a great job.
You're doing a great
Yeah.
job. Yeah.
couldn't
Got the
I did.
got the revenge line down packed. That's for sure.
I wouldn't have even like noticed until you guys like pointed it out. Honestly,
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know why I clued in on it.
And even then, like it was back and forth. I was like, sometimes I could tell, sometimes I couldn't, and so I didn't want to say anything because I was like, maybe she's out of practice.
I
But
think it's because I've just gotten good at recognizing
Yeah.
like voice actors because I watch a lot of dubbed anime and I play like spot the voice actor with like the Funimation cast.
Mhm.
So.
Fair enough.
There was another Tommy comment we missed earlier. he said Lloyd washing windows was set up in Splinter, and yeah, there's a reference to that in Splinter of the Blind Man's Eye, where he has like a vision, I think, of him washing windows.
Interesting.
And also, I think like Clancy said like something about cleaning, and Lloyd says, "I'll never like be washing windows or whatnot." And then here he is washing windows, which is funny. Okay. We see you, Tommy. And then he also has another comment. He said, someone said like Boydo said, "When is that story going to continue?" That story meaning, I guess Splinter. And Tommy says, we almost have the next 10 and a solid plan. So Splinter is returning, and once Splinter comes out, both that and also When Way the Departed comes out, we'll also be probably talking about those because I think it's very cool to talk about some stories.
He just said another comment as well. The original actress retired. She was offered to return.
Oh,
there you go.
That's crazy because she was a prolific voice actress. Like,
yeah.
Wow. One of her final roles was a sphere. That's pretty cool then.
But Kathleen Barr is doing a really good job.
Yeah,
for sure, and we're all excited about her because we have plenty of familiarity with her past Misaka.
Yeah, LJ, drop some roles that was it Kathleen Barr? You said.
Mm-hmm.
What has she done?
She's previously voice acted for Lego characters. She was Gali Nuva in Bionicle Mask of Light, and she was Rudaka in Bionicle 3 Web of Shadows.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
So she's quite prolific. Proficient. Prolific. There we go. Fudge. All right.
Well, congrats to the retirement for the past Asphira voice actress, and we're happy to have Kathleen Barr on for such a great role for Asphira coming back and doing a great job, as we mentioned. I also, to say on Asphira for just one more second, I enjoyed her like 1v1 mentality with Wu. That was like a cute little like.
It was a cute little scene, and I loved it. But why does it exist?
It's like
a complete non sequitur.
It felt funny because like Wu and Asphira are like, if you like, they knew each other like, was it thousands and thousands of years ago, and so like them doing modern fun stuff felt kind of nice, like they could almost be friends sort of thing, but obviously they're not. But it felt like a weird mix of like that there's something going on there.
It felt very out of place, but I would never want to miss it because it was hilarious, and it also it really pushed that like they've been rivals for like thousands of years, which they finally like confirmed.
Yeah.
the
Wu was thousands of years old.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny that they met as kids and they still like behave like kids with each other.
Yeah.
Neon Jays in the YouTube chat says, "In Ninjago, why does it exist? You should be asking why not." And that's fair.
It gave me a little taste of what a different dynamic for Asphira could be if she just like hung around and was like a reluctant ally. And like, I don't know, I kind of like the vibe. It was fun.
It gave me like Garmadon becomes roommates with the ninja sort of vibes.
Yes, very similar.
Which was very enjoyable in season 1, and it was very enjoyable in this season as well. So, but yeah,
basically, I guess all I'll say is Nia's back, and
Nia's
the ninja
back.
get arrested.
Indeed. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in these episodes.
We had the excellent smoke bomb joke with the new ninja.
Yep. We got like one of her. We got our first hint about like Pixel maybe being up to something with like her times and stuff. Like she will estimate how many hours it takes to make something, and then she'll do it in like 1/80th of the time. Like she'll just do it super fast, and they've mentioned that a couple of times now, especially in other episodes. But it's like, what could she be like? They've mentioned it enough where it's important. Like I think it's not a joke anymore.
I think it's partly a joke, like referring to her always building the vehicles. I think it also probably refers to like the little pixel robots we saw in the trailer, that they're like helping her do like this impossible work she's doing. And from like, they haven't been in those first 12 episodes, but they are in the trailer, and I assume they might be important later.
Well, I hope it has nothing to do with the reversal blade, or
I'm like the memes about Pixel having something to do with time literally are giving me a heart attack. If it turns out that like the reversal blade is inside of Pixel as like a power source, and like she's doing all this like Hermione-esque stuff from like Prisoner of Azkaban, I'm gonna like lose my mind. I'm going to kill someone. It's possible. Like if I looked in the mirror, I'd be like, no fears. Pixel with Time Blade, one fear.
Oh, Monarb, thank you, Monarb, for bringing this up. We almost forgot the return of Skylar, like as almost a returning character in the show. Like that's a pretty big deal.
I like Skylar. I always love to see Skylar. Skylar is cool. I continue to be always annoyed with how Skylar gets used.
She got used as a battery.
She got used as a refrigerator.
For some reason, there's this like almost like intense desire to not have her be like a character and to only show up when like the plot demands it. And I'm like, for why?
Like I was thinking earlier, like
oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I was thinking earlier, like why couldn't they just get Skylar and then she do the stuff with the ninja and then just keep Zane at like the base?
Yeah, like did Zane really need to be
I
on
think
that mission?
part of the reasoning is maybe like Skylar didn't want to do the illegal stuff, and so she was just like, yeah, I'll hang back and do it while y'all do the illegal stuff so I don't get arrested.
It's almost like if they leveraged the fact that she was a character with her own life and like a business and like you know autonomy, and maybe she wouldn't want to put herself in jeopardy to help a team of renegade, you know, not anti-heroes, but like you know working outside the law. That'd be a cool thing to like focus on.
She's also like the daughter of a villain, so like going to prison probably would not be good.
But come on, do you guys really think that if Skylar was like on that mission, Kai would have been more or less concentrated?
No.
That would be even worse.
All right.
That's fair.
Jokes aside, I think the reason Skylar always gets like pushed to the sidelines is because of her power set is like extremely
Not even that overpowered, especially not with the new limiter.
Yeah, and I think like that's why they put in the new limiter, and I hope we see her more now that she's not like that powerful anymore.
They're robbing something from the police. You know, they're gonna be fighting like robots and a skull sorcerer and like snakes. There's no elemental energy to drain. How is her power is going to be even useful, let alone overpowered?
No, she can just take the ninja's powers all the time and like
what
use
would
all
that serve practically? Their powers don't do anything as it stands. They're getting tossed around by the mechanic.
Especially against a Vengestone army where she can't do anything at all.
Yeah.
But
exactly. Perfect season to bring Skylar back.
Okay. I guess let me put it a little bit differently. The reasons why Skylar are deemed as overpowered are for old Ninjago, where they routinely fought against like other elemental masters or elemental threats or whatever. The people they fight nowadays and the people they've fought for the last like 4 years, really 3 years, wouldn't have like any benefit really to Skylar being there, which could be an argument for why not to use her. But I don't know. I don't view her as being like her power set.
Tommy, of course, answers the question in one line, something that, of course, I don't even think about. He says Zane needs to scan and track the vans. Without him, no analysis. Well, there you go. That's why they need him on the missions. So, fair enough.
I could buy that for the artifact.
For the artifact stuff. Well, the first one, he had to be there to like scan the cameras and scan for where the entrances are to get there. So
he has no body temperature. Yeah.
The body temperature thing was funny. We have a quick super chat before we move on to the last 6 episodes from World of Cars Entertainment for $1.99. I think this one's for you, LJ. It says the Chima Fix-It Beavers are helping Pixel.
If that happens, which I know it's not going to be, the trailer kind of established. They're setting up for a big reveal that Pixel has helper bots, essentially.
She made clones of herself.
However, if that happens, I'm out. I'm done.
Nice knowing you, Ninjago.
Yeah, I quit. Somebody else can host this.
What if the Fix-It Beavers use the Time Blade?
Stop.
I think at that point, like, you're gonna have to just lock Mesa and I up at that point.
I'm literally gonna go feral.
Time Weavers.
No.
Nope.
Time
No.
No. No. Anyway, I have thoughts.
Speaking of being locked up, LJ. Well, before LJ, this is AJ. Before we move on, what are your thoughts about the episodes 3 through 6?
I mean, I don't really
She's
have
back.
any thoughts. Like, yeah, like it's kind of the same response as it was in the reacts of just kind of wanting to see how the full season like plays out before like.
I think it's fair to say at this
rank
point
seasons.
your feelings are indecisive because you
Yeah.
like we need to see how like Nia is utilized.
Yeah, well, I feel that way about the whole season right now. Really, it's like, you know, I'm like, I'm not much of the theorizing person, so
You kind of just like to see it and judge it.
yeah, rather than like try and figure it out, because I can't remember so much stuff about Ninjago. It's like it's just easier for me to like watch and then form an opinion based on like the full thing rather than like half the season.
Kindred spirit.
I'm sorry. What's up?
Not remembering things. A kindred spirit.
What am I not remembering?
And synopses. No, I'm kidding. I was making a joke. What were you laughing at?
So, Tommy, he posted a comment which had to be hidden, unfortunately. He said, frick, the beavers are a good idea.
Easy there, Tommy.
Oh no. Don't do this.
Don't do this to
Tommy said that he intended the first 6 episodes as a mini season like The Island. So
It feels like that, but
It works.
it did feel like that.
it feels, that's kind of why we like stopped to talk about them first, because it definitely has that feeling. But unlike The Island, these are very well structured, and everyone acts mostly in character, and it's really enjoyable and engaging. So it works. I like it.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say about Nia. I have more to say. I'm going to save it for the end. Here's all I'll say for right now. As someone who vehemently does not and did not want Nia to return, and who liked the ending of Seabound, and who wanted it preserved, I do enjoy how she comes back.
Yeah.
I've thought about this very heavily. I know.
Raggy wins.
I know. You know, no parade. My opinions aren't everybody's. I know, like, AJ, you might not fully agree. LJ, you might not fully agree. Me personally, the method in which she returns, I enjoy. And I enjoy it for 2 reasons. Number 1, it respects her agency because she is the one to initiate the plan. She's the one to come up with the plan. She's the one to find the ninja. It's not as if, you know, she made a sacrifice and then the ninja are like, okay, we can bring her back by doing X, Y, and Z. Like, she had to want it. She had to put the pieces in place to do it. And then they had to act on it. So that's reason 1. Reason number 2 is basically how they framed it from episode 1, in that they used the word disappeared. Nia disappeared. Nia's disappearance, you know, etc., etc., etc. And of course, they're not going to use the word like Nia died, you know, because it's Lego. But like, just framing it in that way, it kind of like allowed me to almost organically recontextualize my interpretation to be like, okay, Nia is lost, which means she can be found. Instead of Nia is dead, she can be brought back. And I think that was a deliberate choice on behalf of the writers, and I do think it worked. Now, after the reactions, I went back and I rewatched the funeral scene, and it doesn't work. If you watch Seabound right before, I don't think it would work at all. So I think they're leveraging the aforementioned in-universe and real-life equivalent time skip to great effect. And I don't know, it's just something about like the juxtaposition, because in Seabound it was very coded as a death. Like 100% it was.
Yeah.
But
if you have a funeral.
Yeah. It's neither here nor there. In that context, and in the context of it being a year, I'll say this: they made a way to make it work, and they made it work logically, and I don't really have that many plot holes with it, and I like it. My biggest problem is going to be what they do with her next, which we will talk about shortly. Take it away, LJ.
Oh, no.
Yes, LJ.
No,
are you
not
ready?
again. No, I don't want to do this.
It is time to do a recap of episodes 7 through 12 of Ninjago Crystalized. Everyone, give LJ in the comments. Let's root him on. Let's see if he can do it.
No, I got it.
LJ.
All right, I got it. No.
LJ.
No, I got it. All right, thank you. I got Okay. Episode 7, Ninjago City versus Ninja. The episode starts off, the ninja are in custody yet again. They are actually on trial. The judge then comes out carrying the Lego set Ninjago City, released in 2017, I believe? Basically, the judge then takes Ninjago City and smashes it over the ninjas' heads, and this is their sentence. Get it? Ninjago City versus Ninja. Okay, fine. Anyway, so the episode starts off, they're in a courtroom, and Dareth is the lawyer for the ninja, which is an absolutely brilliant premise. It is fantastic. It could be its own show. Cast me in it. I want to be his understudy. I want to be Dareth's understudy as the tan ninja. We have been over this before. I'm the beige ninja, okay? Just let me do this. Give this to me. Give this to me. Anyway, so the trial goes off, and the judge is like, hey, all right, so the ninja are all basically sentenced to 5 years at Crypterium prison. And Dareth is absolutely devastated that apparently he's not a good lawyer, which surprises no one, but again, is still fantastic as a preface. Anyway, they get a light sentence, they go to Crypterium prison, and they kind of just, hang around, do some things. They're like, hey, we gotta be on good behavior. They're not on good behavior. They are absolutely on nothing but bad behavior. So they talk to some old villains. We get to see a couple of familiar faces. We get to see... I'm trying to find some names because I can't remember the names.
This was the episode.
Ronan.
No, I'm not ready.
Yeah, it's
was
this
it
episode.
The snake guy, Mezzo?
Gosh dang.
There's Mesmo, there's... which skeleton was it? Whiplash?
Whiplash.
I think. Then it's Ultraviolet, Kilo, Pythor.
There you go.
Soto.
Pythor and Kilo, I don't think has showed up yet, but Soto was in there.
Yeah. Okay, so bottom line, they meet some familiar faces and character assassinate Ronan for the second season in a row, which has me laughing. Lloyd talks to one of the guards. The guard is like, hey man, I support you. Also, there's someone here to meet you. Lloyd assumes that it's Wu because of the hat, goes to talk to Not Wu. Not Wu turns out to be Kabuki Mask. Kabuki Mask is like, haha, I'm gonna make you cry, and then leaves. Lloyd is like, quick, that person's getting away. They haven't committed any kind of a crime. They haven't actually done anything, but you know what? I want to go get them. And he breaks out, because of course he does. Antics ensue. The guards get Lloyd again, and is like, well, so much for good behavior. Meanwhile, in the mythical city of Master of the Mountain City, we see Vangelis hanging out in a nice room. He's just chilling. He's not in prison. He's barely in solitary confinement, honestly. He's just hanging out in a nice place. It's like a Norwegian prison. When all of a sudden, a weird robotic spider crawls in with a nice new mask that doesn't match the printing on the Lego piece. And he's like, here you go. Enjoy. Join us. And Vangelis is like, abso-freaking-lutely. Puts on the mask and the episode ends.
This episode.
Are we going to keep going? Or are we going to...
We're going to keep going. That's
We'll get back to it.
We'll get back to it. It's okay. It's not going anywhere. It can't hurt you, okay? It's fine.
It can!
No, it did. All right.
He's gonna explode by the time we get through all the episodes.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Ronan's not in the other episodes. I mean, that probably hurts.
You've never cared about anyone but yourself.
Right. He muted himself.
So, Episode 8, Crypterium Prism Blues, starts off with a guest appearance by none other than Elvis Presley. No, I'm kidding. So it starts off, and Dareth, attorney at law, shows up to Crypterium Prison along with Skylar with a plan. He walks up to the guards and is like, "Hello everyone, I'm Dareth and I'm here to talk to my clients." Walks in, talks to Ninja, and is like, "I've been doing some intense research and I'm gonna break you out of here. Just kidding, I don't know what to do." So they talk for a little bit, trying to figure out what they can do, and by and large, there isn't really a solid plan. Skylar and Kai do some like nonverbal flirting, and the two legal experts inevitably leave. Meanwhile, we see Nia having an existential crisis, throwing away a bunch of her stuff. This is from the Lego Ninjago movie, gone. This is from this episode, gone. She's just chilling out. She's dressed in her outfit from her worst fear from that episode from season 11, and she's just doing her thing. Wu is trying to talk some sense into her, but Wu has never been good at talking sense into people. He's barely been able to talk sense into himself. He's gone through a very similar crisis before, and Cole had to knock him out of it. But Cole can't be here, because then we're going to start a bunch more rumors that friggin' Cole and Nia is a thing, and we're going to reinstigate that friggin' love triangle, so we can't have him do anything useful. He's in prison. So then, Nia comes across some blueprints for Samurai X mech that she's made before. Old fans are like, "I recognize that mech." New fans are like, "Can I buy that mech?" And old fans are like, "Go to eBay." So the episode continues, and we see the ninja are just chilling in Crypterium Prison. They're hanging out. They're eating glop. It's cool. Pythor is like, "Hey guys, remember me? I hate you guys." And Ninja are like, "Leave us alone." And Pythor's like, "Make me." So they get into a small skirmish in the yard, and the guards come in and break it up. You know, the huge. Back with the ninja base, Nia goes to Pixel's like, "Hey, can we make this mech?" Pixel's like, "Yeah, my team will make it." She doesn't actually say that, but we know that's what she means. She has a team, and fortunately, it's not the Beavers. Thank freaking goodness. Anyway, so the ninja are just, chilling back in prison. Crystal spiders break in, and they're like, "Hey, Pythor, you want to join us?" The ninja notices this is happening, and they break out. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. They break out, they chase after them, they try and get Pythor, they fail, they get captured again. End of the episode.
Woot.
All right. Also,
That's so epic.
Someone grab your harmonica.
Also, what's his name? Ronan. Never seen again. Next episode, Hound Dog McBrog.
I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Someone grab your harmonica.
All right. Episode starts off. Ninja are still in prison. Nothing has changed. They get in a bus, and we're reintroduced to Fugidove, who we're going to be left thinking is a hallucination by Jay for the next 3 episodes. So Fugidove is there, pestering Jay. They're going somewhere, probably some work release thing, I don't know, when they come across this feeble old man whose car has broken down, and they're trying to help him fix the car, and he's like, "I'm an old man." So while that's all happening, the ninja are in the van. They're chilling, talking. Fugidove is flirting with Jay. When all of a sudden, a giant mech comes down and is like, "Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm a giant mech. I very barely resemble the, bricky nature of my actual set counterpart, but I still look cool because it's a friggin' awesome mech, and you should definitely go check out my review of it because it's a great mech." So the mech breaks the ninja out, takes all the other bad guys, tips them in the bus, and is like, "See ya," and flies away. The guards are like, "Rats, we let him get away again." The mayor is informed. He is upset. The police commissioner is informed. He is not quite as upset. So the ninja are bailing in this van. The feeble old man is actually the very strong, muscular protagonist of the series, Dareth, and they're getting away when all of a sudden the cops are on their tail. So Dareth engages his secret ninja power, driving. He drives through the desert. He loses the cops. He gets away. GTA music is playing. He's got 5 stars. And all of a sudden the van breaks down in the exact same fashion he was trying to convince the guards that it was going to break down in. Rats. So the ninja decide, all right, let's walk through the desert. Fugidove, come with. So they're walking through the desert. Everyone's feeling miserable. They feel super hot. Zane at any point could materialize ice to help keep them cool, and it would eventually melt into water, but don't worry about that. It just disregard. On the scene of the crime, we have a new character. Hound Dog No Minifigure McBrog, whose name is ridiculously hard for me to say for some reason. He's like, I'm a cool sheriff detective, and we're going to catch these ninja. He's very cool and very charismatic and, the usual.
Really good.
So later on that night, the ninja are like, hey, we got to figure out what to do. Let's go to, what's his face? Zippy face? I don't know, Zappy guy from season of the Seabound. I don't know. Listen, they got to go to a place. It's in the desert. I can't remember the guy's name right now. Zippy Zappy, what did he do?
Twitch
streamer.
Twitch stream. Oh, fudge. Okay, that's right. Tim, the Twitch streamer. Shoot.
Zippy Zappy from season of the Seabound.
So they decide we're going to go jump on a Twitch stream with Tim, the Twitch streamer, and they split up to go get there for whatever friggin' reason. They're like, we can cover more ground, and I guess fair enough. They assume that if anyone doesn't make it there, the other party got captured, and that's the end of the episode. All right.
You guys ready for a wild ride?
Literally.
Episode 10, The Benefit of Minecraft Griefing. So the episode starts off, and we are joining Zane, Kai, and the protagonist of the series, Dareth, as they are sweating it to the Goldies being the heat and the sand. So they find a road, they see a van driving down the road, and they're like, hey, wait up! They somehow catch up with all the stamina they obviously still have, and it's being driven by this pink-haired gal. And she's like, hey, you weird, strangers want to ride? Why are you dressed like that? We're cosplayers. Don't worry about it. Let us in the van. So, like a fool, she lets them in the van. Word to the wise kids, do not pick up hitchhikers. Do not do it. It's actually against the law in the state of Idaho, and I'm sure Idaho isn't the only one. Do not pick up hitchhikers. Very bad idea. So, they get in the van, they're driving along, there's some neat music playing, and they're like, hey, what is this fantastic music? Can you make some for my show? Dareth asks, and the gal is like, it's actually my music. We find out her name is Sally, and she ran away from home because she's trying to go to Ninjago City to become a well-known musician. But she's very torn up about it. She's like, I shouldn't have run away from home. My parents hate me. And Dareth's like, they probably do. Keep driving. All of a sudden, the cops show up. So they get back in the van, and the 5 stars are blinking once more. So they're trying to get away from them. They're trying to avoid them. The cops are trying to pin them in. They go off into the desert, and they fall off a gorge into the water. Well, Hound Dog McBrag is like, I'm gonna get him, and flies into the water with them. It's very reminiscent of a scene from the Lego movie. Oh, yeah.
Justice!
That's right, I forgot about that. Justice! So they're in the water. He's somehow, catching up on them, and Zane is like, that's right, I can use ice powers, and freezes the river, locking him in place. They manage to get away, but the van is basically destroyed. They give Sally a pep talk, they drop her off where she needs to be, and they walk off the rest of the way into the desert. The end of the episode. Wait, no, we needed that van. Hang on, guys, wait, she hasn't dropped you off where you need to go. You're still walking through the desert. At least let her drop you off, and gosh darn it. Okay.
Yeah.
Episode 11, The Fifth Villain. The episode starts off, and we see the other group in the desert. It's Lloyd, Cole, Zane, and Fugidove. Fugidove is still pestering Jay. We don't know if he's an illusion at this point or not. At some point, Fugidove is like, become my sidekick. You're going to be Blue Jay. When all of a sudden, we realize he's not actually his own person. Or sorry, he's not an illusion. He's not being hypnotized. What is that thing?
Hallucination or
No, not a hallucination. There's something else. I forget what it is. I'm trying. I'm struggling hard here, guys. Hang on, I gotta drink a bit of water.
Something that they wish they would do in that moment. But
okay.
You don't have other...
All the littering.
Okay, here. So, the episode's starting off. These 3 are with Fugidove. Fugidove is being his usual self. We're not sure if he's a real person. We're not sure if Jay is the only one seeing him. The cops are hot on their tail, trying to figure out where they are. And all of a sudden, we realize, hey, Fugidove, He's actually not an illusion. He's not actually someone that Jay is just imagining. And he has water. He dumps the water on the ground. This is a metaphor.
Based.
Cole is dying of thirst. And they leave him there. He doesn't show up for the rest of the series. So the other three go to Twitch stream Tim's shack, and they're like, "Hey, Twitch stream Tim." Gosh dang, that is a really hard thing to say as a tongue twister for sure. Anyway, they go to his shack. They're like, "Hey, let's go ahead and play some Fortnite. Maybe we can play some Warzone and Call of Duty. It's up to you." And Twitch stream Tim is like, "You know what? That sounds like a swell idea, my friends. Let's go inside, pop open some waters, and we'll get you guys all hydrated and we'll get on stream." So they get inside and they start playing some games. While they're playing some games, the cops show up. And the cops are like, "We know you're in here because we just happen to know who you are and we know you're affiliated with the Ninja." So they come in.
They got swatted.
Dang it, that's so much better. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They got swatted. And Twitch stream Tim is like, "They're all here. I'm just giving them up. Have them." So antics ensue. Fugitive is like, "I love you, Jay," and sacrifices himself to the dog pile of cops who clearly see him as the biggest threat. Twitch stream Tim, he bounces. He's a fugitive now. Don't worry about it. He's going to have some illegal live streams later on. And the Ninja managed to escape, but not before blowing up one of the cars. So they determine that the next villain that the Crystal King is going to invite to the Crystal Squad, hashtag gamers,
Hashtag Crystal Squad.
is the mechanic.
Hashtag crystal sweep.
Quick, Crystal.
Crystal sweep. Crystal sweep.
No, it's the mechanic sweep.
So they go to the mechanic's old place because they're like, "We don't know where else to look," and the mechanic just so happens to still be there. A fight breaks out. They capture him with Prime Empire. Yes, that is exactly how that goes. And they disguise Lloyd as the Crystal King. So the Crystal Spider finds...
The mechanic.
Sorry, yes, you're right. Listen, I'm trying. This episode is
You're doing great.
This is such a hard episode to do a recap on.
It is a really busy episode.
Crystal Spider finds Lloyd, is like, "Join us." Lloyd's like, "Okay," jumps in a hole, end of episode. I didn't do that episode justice at all. It's a fantastic episode.
Justice!
That was the previous episode.
Justice! Next, okay, final one.
Final episode. Council of the Crystal King. Do not talk about what that stands for. The episode starts off... Don't. The episode starts off, they are in the sewers, like they were at the very beginning of the season, and Lloyd's like, "Talk to me, Crystal Spider." Crystal Spider is like, "I'm not going to do that." So the other ninja and the mechanic, they're in a van, they're running around, they're tracking Lloyd, basically following the original plan that the new ninja set up, but finally realizing it's a good idea, because I guess the new ninja are just that much better than they are. Lloyd is following the Crystal Spider, the mechanic breaks free of his binds, and a fight breaks out in the van. Meanwhile, Lloyd's going on an adventure. He gets in, I love how you described this, I think you said it, Sakota. He gets in a giant gaming mouse, and zoom, off he goes.
That was Zach. That wasn't me.
That was Zach? Okay, I wasn't sure. Credit to Zach. That was a very well-made remark. So, the ninja are fighting with some noodle soup, as well as fighting with the mechanic, and they're trying desperately to get him to stop fighting. The van is going all different which ways. Antics are ensuing left, right, and center. Meanwhile, Lloyd is like, "I'm just going to the place. See ya, guys." So the mechanic breaks out of the van. They go into the sewers. Fights continuing. The mechanic is just whooping the ever-loving daylights out of the ninja. We've never seen him this competent, especially not during his season, which he didn't even show up in a set for, namely Prime Empire. And he bounces. He gets the heck away. A Crystal Spider just so happens to be there, notices this is all going on, and finds out, oh wait, the Crystal guy, or the guy we got, isn't actually the mechanic. Meanwhile, Lloyd lands. He finds a bunch of Vengestone army statues, which presumably will come to life later, and finds the Council. It's comprised of Mr. F, Pythor, Asphera, Vangelis, and now him. They're like, "Who are you?" Mysterious villain we've never heard about. And he's like, "I'm the mechanic. I did some crazy things. You definitely didn't hear about me because I'm also the mechanic." They don't recognize his voice. They've all met him. All of them have met Lloyd. They do not recognize him.
Hey, he's at least better than Skybound, and he's got a lot better work on his accents than he was in Skybound.
He is not putting on any kind of an accent. So a Kabuki Mask shows up and is like,
kind of is. He's the mechanic.
Kabuki Mask shows up and is like, hi guys, I'm not the Crystal King. I'm actually Kabuki Mask. How are you all doing? We have an imposter among us.
Among us!
Emergency meeting.
Literally didn't
Word for word.
Didn't make that up. There is an imposter among us. And they find out pretty quickly it's Lloyd. Lloyd tries to leave and gets absolutely destroyed by everyone there because of course he does. They're all supervillains and they have the advantage over him. He actually got knocked out by Mr. F. So
yes, because he's awesome.
That is fair.
Yeah.
They're captured, and at the end, Kabuki Mask is like, time for some mental trauma, and reveals herself to be Harumi. And that's the end of the episode, and the end of the 12 episodes, which you can no longer watch on the official LEGO channel.
Everybody here and virtually, give a round of applause to LJ. Virtually here, round of applause.
You did it.
A feat undone or not ever accomplished before. 12 episodes, one Ninjago cast.
LJ Sweep.
LJ Sweep. First Ninjago cast to get over 1 trillion views.
I have two things.
Getting 1 more billion views.
Before we start talking about this, 2 things. Number 1, there was a comment by Boido in the live chat that I wanted to circle back to. That was just a little brief thing about the new ninja team. The Fuchsia Ninja has finally become reality. I don't think we mentioned that earlier.
I made this remark during some recording we were doing. And you guys are like...
I think, trailer thing?
You
guys... It was a trailer discussion we didn't release.
You guys were all like... You guys are like... No, it's a purple ninja.
Magenta.
Or Magenta Ninja. And I was the only one that was like, it's a Fuchsia Ninja. And then I got name drop and I was like, I was right.
Year of Vindication.
Surprise!
So that was pretty cool. I just like to see that. And then secondarily, in the patron chat a little bit ago, Monero posted this picture that like Ulti made a little bit ago. It's just like a funny meme, but it made me realize because of the outline, Harumi's face shape is literally an Among Us. Her hair and face are Among Us. It was foreshadowed. God. It was foreshadowed from 2018.
Destiny.
And even like she was the imposter back then as well.
Exactly. So it was all up to plan.
We do need to circle back around because we said we were going to, but you've never cared for anyone but yourself, Ronan.
Dude.
Yeah, we'll start there.
Dude.
So if anyone saw the NINJAGOcast Reacts when that line went down, I would absolutely recommend it because it is a very rare instance when Tyler flipped his lid, grabbed a Lloyd minifigure, slammed it against the wall, and went absolutely bananas on Ronan, and tell us why.
Legend has it that the Lloyd minifigure is still buried in my room somewhere. I have not recovered him, and I don't plan to.
There's such a satisfying crack too when it hit the wall.
He's trapped under my bed somewhere. So I could meme on this, and I could yell and I could scream because I'm still as pissed off as I was like days ago. But like I'm gonna keep it composed, and I'm just going to articulate why it bothers me because we have so much else to talk about. And comparatively, this isn't really that big of a deal. And Tommy, not to call you out, obviously you don't have to comment.
He's about to call him out.
But like, if you're here and you have any of your insights that could make me appreciate this more, by all means. So the reason why this bothers me is because of the archetype of character that Ronan is. And I feel like writing him in this way and having Lloyd say it in that manner demonstrates like a fundamental misunderstanding of Ronan, at least from a viewer's perspective. Ronan is not a petty criminal. Ronan is not, a ultraviolet. Ronan is not, a Fugidove. Ronan is not Garmadon. Ronan is Han Solo.
Yeah.
Ronan is the pragmatic, kind of profit-driven, I'm just going to do things to kind of keep me going along. I'm kind of selfish character who does have a heart and who does thaw over time when he starts to form like genuine friendships with people. His tendencies never go away. He still likes money. He's still kind of in it to make a score, you know. But at the end of the day, he does care about the ninja. They are his friends. For the bulk of his screen time, that was who he was. The time period where Ronan was a villain juxtaposed against the time period where he was an ally is like ridiculously scaled. Even when he went after the ninja in Skybound, it was because they were under suspicion of breaking the law and he could get paid. But like all the while he was doing it, he was like, yeah, I'm not like, I don't hate you guys or whatever, but like if you did a bad thing, you gotta pay the time, like I'm just in it for a paycheck. And then he worked with them later to like save their lives because he does actually care about them. And I think he was on the didn't he show up like midway through the season too on like the police chopper to like rescue them? It wasn't just at the end. I think he was there when they were like stranded and he picked them back up and brought them to the mainland. Yep. So
it's very important that we remember that Skybound never happened in these kind of things.
But again, I'm not talking about narratively. I'm talking about like from a viewer's perspective. That isn't character development that Ronan had that was lost. That's something that like Ronan was ready to do. Yeah. And he theoretically would do again in a different situation. Mm-hmm. Now I will admit, the one thing I'll say in their defense, it's a little bit tricky to write a character like Ronan in a kids show when he's not a main character, because it's like, well, what role is he? Oh, he's the criminal. He's like the small time criminal. He's like, he likes money. He likes all this. But like, we saw this happen, and it doesn't sit right for me. And I'll admit, I'm biased. Ronan is in my like top 3 favorite characters. I really like Ronan, so that's why I'm reacting this way. But I think even if he wasn't, I'd still have a problem. Duck Bricks says here in the chat, he was like, Lloyd was free of Moro's possession when Ronan dumped all his wealth to save him / the other ninja in possession, and Ronan was basically part of the team in season 5. Season 7, he was such a bro to the ninja that he literally helped them move into their new home.
Mm-hmm. Also, there's like one example a lot of people probably forget about because it's Dark Island. But Ronan like literally helped save Lloyd's mom, which was very important to Lloyd in the story.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Even if you factor out everything that Ronan did in Will Film, and even if you're like, okay, whatever, it's new writers, it's Wild Brain, it's whatever, maybe they just don't remember, maybe they just don't care. They had the intelligent idea to have a tiny little frame where Ronan was at Nia's funeral in handcuffs with the police commissioner there, which means that he had to deliberately go out of his way to ask to go to the funeral. That alone proves Lloyd wrong.
Yeah.
If you factor out all the rest of his character. So what I guess I'm gonna shut up. We're gonna move on. All I ask is, he's on the poster. Please don't let this be the end of it. If that was set up for like a scene later on where Ronan comes back and like helps them,
I could see that.
It will all be water under the bridge.
I think it is setting something up because for those who have joined Ninjago recently, Ronan is only known as a villain because of the island. And so they have to kind of throw that line in there to set up the whole like he could be a good guy, which of course infuriates old fans because it's like, obviously he is.
But it's no different than any of the other repeated arcs that they've been doing.
And they had a particular shot after Lloyd had said that where Ronan looked very much angry and hurt that Lloyd had said that. So I think it was purposeful, and obviously Ronan beyond the poster is the biggest clue of all. I think
if it was purposeful, I will apologize.
Yes. So I hope so. I think it'd be great to see Ronan as an ally again. It is something we haven't seen since Dark Island / Hands of Time. And I think the last time we saw Ronan with the crew as an ally was actually the final shot of March of the Oni. Yes. So it's been a while. And it's been a very, very long while.
It's just one of those things that bugs me a lot.
Yeah. If they had to stick the line in there just to kind of set it up, so be it. I think the line could have been tailored a bit more, but they had to make him more like extreme or whatnot. But
I get it. If they bring him back, it's like a setup payoff kind of thing. It would be just like his arc in Possession, just on mini scale, where he had the exact same kind of situation when he saved them all from the volcano or whatever that was.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fine. Just please, for the love of God, do something. I wanted for Ronan to come back for years, and now I'm like, maybe he should have just stayed in the past. So that's it. Let's talk about Prison Arc. How'd you guys think of Prison Arc?
It was.
Tell us how you really feel, AJ.
I mean, I wasn't fond of the idea of Prison Arc when the the trailers came out and stuff, and I'm still not like huge on it now. It's like, I don't know, it's
repetitive.
Yeah, I mean, because I didn't like it in Skybound either. Like, I just don't like the kind of prison arc stuff.
What don't you like about it? Is it boring? Does it not make sense in the world?
I think it's just not like interesting to me personally. Like, I just I don't know. Like, even in Skybound, they have like Vengestone cuffs on, right? Because of the powers, and then they don't in this like season. And I guess the argument could be made of just like, oh, there's no Vengestone like around. But are you saying they wouldn't have like at least a couple? Like, did they just get rid of them randomly one day?
How
much
was stolen directly from the prison, basically?
Yeah, like
it's because Warden Noble is the Vengestone buyer.
Oh my god. It was an inside job.
Yeah. It's an arc. It's happening, and it's Or
what did you like about it, if anything? There were villains. The Pythor showed up.
Pythor!
Pythor was great.
I liked you raging over Ronan.
That's not the same thing. That doesn't count.
I know, but I mean, it's the thing I remember the most.
It was very entertaining.
Yeah.
I'm glad my suffering amuses you. I'm glad I'm a court jester.
We actually do have a comment from Tommy Andresen regarding the Ronin thing. He says that he's not going to defend it now, but a character's opinion does not represent the show's / writer's point of view.
Understandable. I'm going to take that now as my hope that maybe there's something later. But if I'm reading into that too much, thank you for your input. On principle, I would say when the character is not shown up in any other format other than that scene, it can be viewed as the show writer's point of view. But I get what you mean. If you're going at it from the angle of like Lloyd is like hot-headed or angry or just said like a hurtful thing, I could buy that. I just wish there was a contrast to point that out, and maybe we'll get it. Who knows?
It could also just be like Lloyd, like exaggerating what happened in the island, basically.
Yeah.
Well, I know the argument was made back when I was like annoyed at the island that like Lloyd wouldn't have the same experiences with Ronan as some other characters. And I agree, like, mathematically, he doesn't have the same amount, but, like, the other ninja are there beside him.
Yeah.
They don't contradict him. They should, like, hey, Ronan actually, like, he's the reason we didn't die multiple times, in fact. You know, so have a little respect, dude. But no, I don't know. It's just a pet peeve of mine. What do we make of Pythor?
It was so good to see him back.
I didn't know how much I missed Pythor until I got him back.
Right.
So great.
His voice actor is so good. I love him so much. And one thing that I noticed is like his animation, like it feels like they could have exaggerated him, but they didn't. Like they kept, like he's not as exaggerated as Asphira.
Yeah.
He's more self-contained, and that's just because that's the only way we've seen him. And maybe he wouldn't be more recognizable if he was like adapted into kind of the wild brain era, which I respect, and I'm glad they did that. I'm curious what he looks like in fight scenes because we haven't really seen him fight yet. But at least like his general, like when he's talking, when he's like doing gestures, it is very reminiscent of like the Will film era and how he was animated there.
He's so sassy, but he's also so like energetic, and I just, it was really cool. Like they established Pythor's like character back on, like, my mind at least, in just seconds of him being on screen.
Oh, absolutely. That initial like conversation with the ninja was enough to be able to show you what he's capable of, and just like his language and his gesturing and whatnot. He's a little bit crazy-ish, like his whole like Crystal King and whatnot. But then again, he also was the same way with the Overlord back in season 3. So Tommy says in the chat that he's also defending it, I guess. Ronan came up gloating and gifting goat. Don't know about the gifting goat thing, but
no, yeah, that's I mean, that's a fair point. Like, but again, I would say, so the reason I would personally take issue with that, again, thank you for clarifying. I really appreciate any thoughts you have on the matter, because my brain's been racking for days. My sticking point with that would be, well, the decision was made to have him come up gloating. You know, that was a choice that was made by the writing team, or the showrunners, or the director, or whoever, to have him be portrayed in that way. And I don't think there's a problem with that. I think it makes sense, especially if he got thrown in prison. Like, yeah, Ronan's a cocky dude who, like, he was doing a crime. The ninja did stop him. He's a little mad about that. Again, that's totally chill. And it's also chill that Lloyd is like, he's in a bad mood. He's in prison. He's like bummed out. He probably wouldn't have time to deal with any of like Ronan's stuff, and he might say a little jab. It's not like they're best of friends, but they were allies. So again, it's like, that's kind of my stance. Thank you for clarifying that. Who else? What about the Pythor breakout? Wait, no, there was something else. Kabuki Mask and Lloyd. There was another reason why I got so annoyed at Lloyd. Lloyd he's desperate. He had just told them, like, keep your heads, down low. Don't try to break out of prison. It's very important we be the good guys. But he's so desperate. He sees this person. He's like, we have to stop him. We have to do whatever it takes. So I'm going to break out. I'm going to do all sorts of flips and crazy acrobatics. And I'm going to, like, use my powers to, like, lock a door or whatever. Like, whatever he did. Throw a projectile. And then he runs down a hallway as Kabuki Mask Harumi is getting in the elevator, and she slowly gets in, and she walks around, and the door closes, and he just runs. Why didn't he throw a little beam ball thing? What would she have done? He could have fried the door and stopped it from opening and closing. Anyway, sorry.
It's cool to see that, like, when Lloyd sees danger, he just tunnel visions.
When Lloyd sees danger, no thoughts, head empty, Kai mode initiated.
He's very much like, and I mean, part of it may be like, there's like a sense of like connection between those two, which is like something we find out much later. But like when he saw the Kabuki mask for the first time, we got that like dolly, what is it, the dolly zoom, where it's like he is being affected both like physically and mentally seeing this person. And I think that's when like his senses kind of like go crazy, and he's like, I'm gonna do everything in my power to stop this person. We find out later that there is technically a connection between those two characters. And that could be part of the reason why he went ham and cheese trying to get them, but also didn't think straight, like Tyler was saying, where you just like, the elevator's doors are closing, shoot a energy ball at
it's such a weird decision. I wouldn't even have noticed if he hadn't just did it. But like I would have said, oh, he's just running, or he doesn't want to use his powers. But because they included a scene of him doing it, then it's on my mind. It's like, oh yeah,
Lupe in the YouTube chat says, in Lloyd's defense, what would blasting the panel really do? Like, the elevator is already going down.
Well, considering he got to it right when the door closed, I'd say it could have definitely done something. At the very least, it might have knocked the person out in the elevator, so they could have like stopped her downstairs. But also, if he had managed to stop the door opening, he would have got in before the elevator went down, and they could have fought.
I just had an image in my head if it was Cole that was running after him, like the elevator doors would have like closed and he would have just busted through them anyways.
I mean, yeah, honestly,
like surprise.
Use your
lava arms.
Use your energy arms, Lloyd.
Yeah, come on, Lloyd, we're your energy arms. But
oh yeah, Caro Kamina X is like, it wasn't even an elevator. I forget. Was it not an elevator? Am I misremembering?
I think it was an elevator. Because he went to the stairs and went down the stairs.
Yeah, I thought it was an elevator. I don't know. I'm doubting myself, and I can't exactly go back and check.
He went to the stairs, and then he like jumped all the way down the stairs and like broke his entire like body. But he rolled, so he's okay. He
did a little ninja roll.
He did a ninja roll, ninja recovery. But yeah, it was a very weird scene. And then of course, like they keep saying in episodes, like, we need to play it cool, guys. Like, we need to make sure that they know that we're good. And it's like, Lloyd, what the heck? Obviously you're not. So
it's odd. It's an odd thing.
The breakout with Pythor was good. We got the interesting knowledge there that if you deactivate a spider, it explodes, which is a big sort of thing, because we also saw the monastery explode in the trailer.
We did.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think of that.
So
big thinky.
But yeah, so Pythor gets in like this super like technologically advanced chopper and flies away. Lloyd sets the jail or Crypterium prison on fire. Yay, they look awful in the eyes of the police right now, but obviously they are more worried about the ninja escaping than one of Ninjago's greatest villains.
Questionable.
Who are the morons there?
Everyone's dumb, and then Kai literally just burns a building. Kai actually is the worst. This might be like... This isn't the season Kai's annoyed me the most, but this is probably his worst like showing as like a person.
I feel like that one wasn't that bad because it was more like an accident. They flew away, but it's kind of bad that it's like always Kai.
That's my problem. It feels very concentrated. His like positive successes, like Kai better have a big redemption moment in the latter half.
I mean, the only thing I can really think of is like Jay electrocuting the others later on accident. So they kind of it's not all Kai, I guess, but
that's true. It's everyone.
It is.
I think Cole didn't hit somebody, but someone almost hit Cole.
It's a general vibe of like, we suck now.
Yeah. New Ninja are obviously better than them. I think even Pythor said like the new Ninja were the ones that finally busted him, which is I think is a cool detail. Like it wasn't even the ninja that captured him, it was the new ninja. But yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else with the prison.
I think we're in outside mode.
Yeah, I think we're
a Hound Dog arc.
Hound Dog. But before we get to Hound Dog, we get the return of Samurai X.
I don't know if I guess we could talk about that now. I guess we should before we move on.
It's the next thing in the chronological is they escape with the help of Samurai X and Dareth, who appears in what was supposed to be a slightly upgraded suit, but a completely different suit that Pixel made super fast again.
So we're going with the Samurai X angle.
So where's the recycle bin? Is Pixel in there yet?
About about the suit, Boido earlier mentioned that like they make it seem like it's an upgraded version of the original Samurai X suit.
It looks completely different.
Yeah, it looks completely different. And the last time we saw the original Samurai X suit, I think Boido mentioned it was in a vault where they also stored like the golden armor and stuff in March of the Oni.
Welp.
So I doubt that it's like it's supposed to be the same one upgraded. I think it's probably just a new mech.
Yeah, more or less. What? LJ, are you there?
Yes, what?
Yeah, you have some thoughts on Nia. I think now is an appropriate time to talk about it since we're at the full context of like the Samurai X angle.
Yes.
How are you feeling about Nia?
Feel fine. Yeah, no, I don't really have an issue. If she was gonna come back without powers, it makes sense that she would come back as Samurai X.
Oh, okay. So we disagree then.
What else do you want her to do? Just mope around in the friggin' ninja base all day?
Well, that's exactly the point now, isn't it? What else am I expecting her to do? It's time to talk about death in stories and why we want them. I think people have a very warped perception of what death actually means, or a mischaracterization of like why people like us want it on discussion podcasts. It's not like I expect Ninjago to be a bloody, murder show where like a hero dies every season and they kill their villains and it happens in like gory ways. I don't want death for shock value. I want death because it creates interesting solutions to problems and it opens up interesting dynamics. If you look at a story like a game of chess and like all the characters are pieces on the board, when you remove a piece from the board, the strategies you can use change because there's less variables available to you. Certain pieces become more important. Certain pieces are weaker than they were before. Certain pieces may need to reposition. So for me, I like death because it creates new scenarios. That's why I wanted Nia to stay dead. It could create new scenarios. But despite all of that, I am okay with her coming back. ... If it creates a new scenario. Because there are plenty of instances in media that I've seen, in other movies and shows that I follow, and games too, where revival can be done very well. And it can create interesting scenarios. We're going to talk about one in just a little bit with Harumi, where I feel like there actually is interesting things they could do. But the fact that the first scene Nia has, where she's like lamenting her current state, is like, oh no, I can't help the team without my powers. How am I going to fit in and have a role? And the solution is, oh, I'm going to be Samurai X. I'm like, we had this arc 11 years ago. I'm done with it. I'm over it. I'm over the arc. Do something new, please. That's all I really have to say. It's boring. Yeah, sure, it makes sense, but like, what would you rather her do? Nothing. I would have rather her stayed dead.
Yeah, but Meso, two things. First, I'm not saying that I prefer this to her being dead. That's not what I'm saying. But now that she's back, it's something we have to accept. What I am saying, though, is yes, this makes sense for her to do now that she has come back without powers. The second thing, you mentioned we had this arc 11 years ago, right?
More or less, yes.
We had this arc 11 years ago. We can have it again since she has had powers for over 6 years. And we can have it for like one episode. It didn't take multiple episodes for her to go through this. It didn't take multiple seasons. She had a moment of doubt after losing a core tenet of her life for however long. Then it's like, oh yeah, I'm reminded that I was Samurai X. She literally, she was not used to being Samurai X for so long that finding that part of her identity reminded her of it, and she went back to it. In the grand scheme of things, this is a very minute situation. Like, this didn't take very long. It was very quick. She went back to doing something that she realized she could do to help the team. I don't think we've seen enough of it yet to say that potential has been wasted.
I think that's part of the reason why I'm like, it's been difficult for me to formulate how to talk about this. Because, like, yeah, if there's an interesting story with Nia that comes in the next, however many episodes, then okay, fine. I have no beef. But, like, I'm gonna assume that this is just her role now. Yeah. And the fact that she disappears from the next, like, 4 episodes, apropos of nothing, doesn't exactly inspire me with much confidence. Okay, Nia is Samurai X again. What's the role of Samurai X? She builds stuff for the ninja. She comes in for, like, 11th hour saves when all hope is lost. She breaks them out of situations, and she comes up with tech solutions to problems. That's what she's always done. So it's less about, like, okay, this one episode is, like, awful, because you're right, they didn't spend a lot of time on it, and it's more about, like, this is the dynamic now. It's the exact same as it used to be. And that, to me, that's not only a waste of a character, but it's a waste of a death and revival arc.
I think what bothers me the most with all of this is that Samurai X already existed. Yeah. And she still exists, and she's still there. Pixel. And she's Pixel.
So Pixel's gonna get thrown in the trash can.
I think I will be the most mad if Pixel says nothing through all of this. Like,
she's already had very little role
she's had very little role, and Nia comes in and says, hey, can you help me build this thing? And Pixel's like, sure. And then Nia comes in as Samurai X and saves the day. I could see a possible plot point where Nia is happy being as she was before because she was happy then. She can, like, in her mind be like, yeah, this is fine. I used to do this.
But Pixel isn't.
Pixel isn't. And Pixel's like, I know you're happy as Samurai X, and I know you're happy doing this because you don't have any powers. But that was me. And, like, now she feels like she doesn't have a role on the team and whatnot. And I could see that being a future conflict, which would, again, make Nia be like, no, you're right. You're Samurai X now. Then what am I? And then it goes back to the question, okay, then what is she like this at this point? And I remember mentioning in the reacts where, like, do you have to have powers to be one of the ninja? At this point, Nia, and at least Wu, thinks that that's true. We're like, she's no longer a ninja. She doesn't have powers. Well, you can be a Samurai X. Cool. She's happy. Pixel gets upset. No, I want to be Samurai X. I'm Samurai X. Like, I respect you for that. And either they work together on Samurai X or Pixel continues Samurai X. Can a ninja be a ninja with elemental powers? And the answer is yes. And there's a whole new team this season that proves that are better than the ninja. So I think all of those working together can help Nia realize she doesn't have to be the water ninja to be part of the team, even though at this point she's convinced herself, no, I have to be Samurai X because that's what I was when I didn't have powers and all that fun stuff.
What you just described sounds like an excellent story, but it requires Pixel to make it work.
And that is something that we haven't seen yet because we've been focusing on, Crystal King and other stuff, and we haven't seen Pixel and Wu since they went to prison, or at least not since they went to prison, but it's been quite a few episodes since we've seen them. So that is what I want to see. That's what I hope I see. Will it happen? No clue.
I mean, I had no problem with that if that was the story. But my question would still be at the end of the day, well, so what is Nia's, like, role and dynamic going to be?
As long as they cover both that, what you just said, Tyler, and the fact that Pixel is being replaced by Nia, and kind of what Pixel would say in regards to that, that is what needs to be what needs to happen in order to solidify.
Because Pixel isn't like a tool. They've spent years of making her like more of a role in things.
Exactly. Like she goes out as Samurai X. She is known as Samurai X to the community. Like I'm sure Zane will be able to be like, yeah, this isn't fair, kind of thing. Like Pixel isn't, someone that can just be replaced immediately. So we haven't, like I said, we haven't seen Pixel since they've built the thing. And it would also give more of a character to Pixel, because even though she has been given more to do, like she's also a major part of the team, and she should have a say in who is Samurai X. So hopefully that happens in the future.
I think for me, the Nia arc was like a very nice, complete character arc over the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the worst case scenario would be to basically break up that arc just to not allow Pixel to get any kind of character arc at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they sideline Pixel after this, they basically just push Nia in the spotlight, even though it would have made a better story to spend the time or the open slot on the team developing Pixel.
Exactly. If Pixel is replaced, that is probably going to be one of my biggest complaints of the entire series.
Yeah. I mean, it's emblematic of like the bigger issues. Like they have too many characters and they struggle with juggling them. And then they also are at the point, like, I don't want to rip this dude off. Like we had a YouTube comment. It was Superfan Go who said, the kids watching now were babies when Nia was a samurai. Why not redo arcs when no one remembers them? /S. But no, Superfan Go. That's not a /S. That's /T. That's /true. That is almost entirely likely the thinking. Since the Wild Brain reboot with Secrets of the Forbidden Spinjitzu, it basically like dialed back the characters to like 0.0, and they're dealing with like basic things that I think they should have. They either definitely have already learned or should have already learned by this point. Kai matured into being a better, more responsible person in like season 3. Zane, I know we haven't really talked about this yet, but like Zane has understood the value of emotions for a long time. They've been dealing with these arcs in recent years, or they haven't been dealing with arcs at all, because we're on like a cyclical loop with them. And I think in my most cynical days that it's a sign of the characters needing to be retired and make new characters. Because I don't think these ninja, as cool as they all are, were designed with a personality template to sustain, 11, 12, 13, 14 years of storytelling.
And
they
we're
had
the
really
new ninja.
Exactly. Like they had really good arcs designed for 3 years of storytelling. And then they've been stretched, and some of it's worked, like Nia. Some of it hasn't, like Lloyd, and people just kind of flounder, and it's like, well, what are they doing? So the fact that now, like, this whole thing with Nia, I don't know, I'm just worried, but I'm not going to condemn it just yet. I want her to have a role in the season that's interesting, and I don't want Pixel to be sidelined. That's it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. AJ, do you have any thoughts about this?
I mean,
You do. I sense it.
Well, the majority of my thoughts have already been said, like, because I've already said like a bunch of times, I'm always going to be happy with Nia, like, coming back, but even more so just because, like, this was the perfect opportunity to change things,
Yeah.
And, like, they just, by bringing Nia back, it's like, it's just you kind of, because people were kind of theorizing that maybe, like, if Nia were to be replaced, that Skylar would take her place, and that would cause some conflict, probably from, like, Jay and Kai as well, just doing that. But then you bring Nia back, and so Skylar's not gonna join the team, but then also you make a Samurai X, and it's just screwing over Pixel, and it's like, what are you doing? You screw over like 2 characters, and then you also like just take the ending of Seabound and you just kind of go, never mind, just don't worry about it, forget it.
Imagine the alternate scenario you just described, where like Skylar, like Kai is depressed, and
Yeah.
Kai's like really sad about losing his sister, and so like he feels better when Skylar's around because like they love each other. So he starts spending more time with Skylar, and he suggests the idea that like Skylar could join the team because they're down a person and she's a competent fighter, but really it's just because he's less depressed when she's around. And Jay like hates this because Jay thinks they're trying to replace Nia, and like she's not replaceable. You can never fill that hole, and that's why Jay and Kai like fight each other. And then Skylar's the one to like reach out to Jay and like talk to him about how she's not trying to replace Nia in the ninja team, but she just wants to like get to know all of them better. And maybe she actually has some character and becomes friends with Jay, and they have like a really good dynamic, and she starts to like learn how to work with everybody. That's the kind of stories you can only achieve through loss.
Yeah, like because people have been wanting to know about Skylar for ages, right? And we still don't really know lots about her, and
we never will.
Yeah, but this could have been the opportunity to do something with it, because this show makes up so many characters every season. Like, you've got to, get rid of some of them so others can, like, develop,
Yeah.
You might as well use the amount of characters you have and just... They don't. They just bring everyone back, and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And I'm not a professional writer. I'm sure there's reasons why that idea wouldn't work. Maybe it's not catered for a Lego show. Maybe there's not enough action, et cetera, et cetera. But that's just like, that's an idea that I came up with when I was talking to AJ, just in like 3 minutes of, of thinking. People who do this for like their professional job, like there's things you can do. But I'm also I'm not ignorant of the fact that I'm sure there's other reasons why Nia couldn't stay dead,
Yeah. And we also haven't finished the season yet, too.
There's also the whole set component to it.
Exactly. Marketability.
Right. Yeah. Then Lego basically told them Nia has to come back, and they're like,
just toy problems.
Yeah. Oh, the struggles of being a toy.
But who cares about character arcs when we have Hound Dog McBride?
Justice!
He's so epic, and he's actually really funny.
He is very funny, and also we'll never have a minifigure. Join the club, man! Oh my gosh.
We should talk about like his episode on this. Well, actually, we've pretty much covered that episode. We can talk about the Sally episode.
So Sally!
I feel like we haven't talked about the emotionless Zane too much before.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't really have much to say about it.
I hate saying this. Go for it, Sakota.
I think it's a clever thing to do with the whole mirror reflection thing they teased in Secrets of the Forbidden Spinjitzu, with Nia losing her powers, Zane being emotionless, maybe Lloyd being something more like his father, if we can trust the sets. So I think that's a clever foreshadowing thing they can pay off now. I got a lot of laughs out of emotionless Zane, so I like it.
I hate to say this because I know Brent Miller probably did not like being emotionless for 10 episodes, but Zane was so funny. Like the way his dialogue was written, and then the way that Brent delivered the lines were perfect. Like it was like there was never any point where it was like it's like he's breaking a little bit. Like it was on target every single time. Absolutely hilarious. And I know I'm sure Brent was just like, I hate this. I want to like emote. I want to do stuff. But it worked. It really, really worked humor-wise. And then we get the explanation in episode 10 to Sally why he did it. And I actually prefer finding out the reason why at the end instead of the front, because it was a surprise. It's kind of like what happened with Jay in Prime Empire, where all of a sudden he like reveals like oh my gosh, maybe it's about my parents and I was adopted and blah, 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 blah. But this, it felt like because he was being honest with her and maybe he had told like Pixel earlier why he was doing it and he didn't really want to tell too much to Cole initially why he did it. But the reasoning he gave is because Julian, when he died, in an act of love, turned off his memories to save him from grief. And grief is something that we have never really seen Zane go through, because the only character I can think of that has died on screen that affected him was Pixel, and that even was temporary.
We saw Zane go through grief in March of the Oni.
True, that is true. When Cole
died.
Mm-hmm. That is very true. He, however, was distracted by the whole Oni thing, so he wasn't forced to think about that for like a year.
I think the moment also ties in perfectly with what happened, because like Zane said to Garmadon, "No, even I can't think rational in this moment. Mm-hmm. Even I can't like just focus on the mission." Yeah. And this time he wanted to avoid that, so he just turned off his emotions so he could stay rational and focus on the tasks at hand.
Exactly.
It's a weird feeling I have about the plot line, because it's like, okay, I feel like this might be a bit nitpicky. It's two separate sides of an issue. It's like Zane turning his emotions off and then Zane turning his emotions back on. Mm-hmm. I don't have any problem with Zane being like, I'm depressed, I can't process grief well, and I want to be more productive, so I'm gonna flip my emotionometer off. But it didn't really click with me why he had the epiphany to turn them back on. You know what? Emotions actually do matter. Because it's like, I never got the feeling that he thought they didn't. I thought that he realized that it made him unproductive.
He said in the first episode that it was an unnecessary emotion called grief. Blah. Like he called it unnecessary. And I mean, technically, like for a robot, grief like is something that I could see it being logical, where like it's not necessary because they understand a lot of information and whatnot. So it's like something that he doesn't want to think about or go through. But it is part of life. And when he was telling Sally, like, emotions are important because they tell us things that are important to us. And so his grief for Nia means that Nia was really important to him. And when he realized that, he was like, okay, I'll turn my emotions back on.
I really like the Zane arc in this, but my main problem with it was why he didn't turn it on like when Nia returned.
That is fair, actually.
Because Sally is more important, and Sally is going to defeat the Crystal King.
Well, I mean, oh wait! They tried to. Do you remember that they tried to in the prison?
They did.
And then he screamed, and they're like, "Oh, never mind. We're just gonna leave it like this for a little bit." And then I guess they just kept forgetting to turn it back on until Zane decided to do it himself. But
yeah. They had a lot going on, so it's fair.
Yeah,
Sally is the MVP. I'm telling you, she's going to have a sing-off with the Crystal King. Yeah, Sally is the key.
Sally is so interesting because, like you said earlier, Tyler, it's sort of a bottle episode with Sally. But the only thing that doesn't make me think it's a bottle episode is because there's a new original song. And why would they write a new original song for?
I mean, it was a weird amount of focus that she got.
It was a weird amount of focus, yeah.
We were so baffled while we were watching it. We was like, what are we watching right now?
Like, it wasn't even like Fuji Dove the first time we met Fuji Dove amount of focus. Like, it was like, this character is important. We're going through her entire arc. Great arc for Sally, but also like, it was resolved by the end.
Wasn't it Yu Sakota who made the comment like, what if she's like based off a fan or something?
I think me and Josh speculated if that could be the case.
Because it almost feels that way. There's something that we're missing.
Feels that way, like similar to when they introduced Antonia or Jake.
Yeah. If it is, we haven't been informed yet, which is fair because the season just did come out, so it would give it a little time for them to like talk a bit about if Sally is a real person or not.
I made the comment in the react, which is confusing in hindsight. I was like, well, she was on the poster, right? You know, she was the person with the helmet. She's not.
Oh, that's Antonia.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was Antonia. So, bit odd.
Yeah. Again, the weirdest thing of it all is that she has a song that is...
Yeah, I feel like overall that episode felt very, like, out of place for me. Not only, like, story-wise, but also, like, with the song playing. It very much, like, we have never had something like that in Ninjago. And and it
with them
very
walking
much
away at the end and the song playing.
I didn't dislike it, but it was a bit off-putting to me because it's not what I'm used from the show.
Yeah.
Even though Ninjago does a lot of surprising stuff sometimes, but it's a very different tone from like action adventure show, I guess.
The song was good. Like the song was really, really good. I greatly enjoyed the few seconds that we got to hear of it. It felt like something you would hear like topping the charts these days, which again is odd because it is something very not Ninjago. Ninjago, of course, is Weekend Whip, rock and roll, and this was very poppy. So it's confusing. Hopefully we'll get an explanation in the future.
Full version.
Yeah, full version, right?
I think it's time.
Is it time to get to the
time.
Not only did they resurrect Nia, they Spider.
Wait, no. No one cares about that.
Oh, wait, what?
I don't care about Harumi. I'm talking about Fujido. His cry fills the night.
I thought we were going all the way to Harumi. No, that's what, because you're like dead serious.
I don't care about that. Are you joking?
Fair enough.
That was a filler episode. Skip Fujido.
Fujido, dude. Okay, resurrecting a character in a different way though, because Fujido stole the stage for 2 episodes. No, 2 episodes? Technically 2 episodes, but most notably episode 11. Holy cow. I went back and rewatched our reacts for that episode, and we were probably laughing for like 6 minutes straight because of Fujido.
It was so hilarious.
It was so good.
Him pouring out the water. Pure unbridled act of villainy.
Dude. That was some meme content right there.
Meme content. It's like great A. And the weird like obsession with Jay and all the nicknames.
I don't know if that was intentional, but how we all thought that he's just like
a hallucination.
And then we cheered when Nicole was like, that's actually kind of catchy.
He's real.
He's real. Which, I mean, obviously Fujido has been a character in the past interacting with other people. So obviously he's a real person. We just didn't know, like, in that scenario, if he was real or not.
Yeah, and it's like, why would Jay have been hallucinating him? It wouldn't really make any sense. But it was just, it was so bizarre.
It was funny,
yeah. The reveal that it was, like, actually happening. It was like, what?
I feel like Adrian must have so much fun playing Fujido in these episodes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
And
him just, like, knowing everything going on, despite being, like, a pathetic villain.
Yep.
He just is an epic source of info.
Oh, yeah. Asphira is part of the crew. What? Oh, when you're a villain like me, you know a thing or two.
It's epic.
And also, he's on the poster for the new season. So, like, I don't know if what he's done is like enough to put him on the poster. I
mean, he was an ally. He helped them get out of the
fight.
Yeah. It makes you wonder why Ronan is on that
cry
side.
Fills the night. Yeah. Remember me, Jay.
All I'm saying is Ronan is on that side, so I'm expecting a similar amount of help from Ronan later on.
He needs his little one-liner, like the night.
I feel like we should
because I care.
We should just get Ronan and Fujido team up.
Oh dear
Lord.
Oh my gosh.
The actual criminal and I'm the best criminal, but I'm actually just a guy in a dove costume. That would be a great team up.
Exactly.
Right? Oh my gosh.
You know, like brilliant laughs all across the board. A++. Twitchy, I'm not too big on Twitchy, I'll be honest. But for continuity's sake, it was cool to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're doing all the callbacks this season. Like,
So many.
there's a lot of callbacks
So
this
many.
season.
We have to pay so much. It's really cool, actually. Like they've weaved a lot of things in naturally, and sometimes people just show up for like a frame, but it's good for continuity. Like Soto, you know, like of course Soto does exist. Why wouldn't he be in prison?
Yeah.
None of it seems forced or anything. It just it makes sense that they go to these places. It makes sense that these characters are there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
One thing that Dakota and I also caught while we were listening and watching is that the soundtrack is also all over the place. Like we get tracks from Rebooted, we get tracks from Prime Empire, we get tracks from The Island, we get tracks from or revamped tracks from the first season with Samurai X. Like the soundtrack is everywhere, and also obviously part of the season, but you get stuff like callbacks musically as well, which is really, really cool.
Really cool how they always play it ahead. So for example, they played The Island soundtrack a bit before they met Twitchy. So if you know the soundtrack, you already know what's gonna come up. Same with the Mechanic and the Prime Empire soundtrack.
It's really good.
Very, very good.
There was the brief flash Dark Takanuba pointed out about Okino. He just showed up with noodles and then caught them. That was epic.
But they still exist. They're still out there.
I like that. Just reminding people of the world.
We also forgot to talk about that in the earlier half, but it's another brief cameo appearance. We had Clutch Powers again with the Teapot of Tyran.
What are they doing? Are they doing anything? Are they just trolling?
At this point, I'm glad that Nauticon wasn't in the season, because he's either going to be one of the main villains, or because he's definitely not general level. He's above general level when it comes to his importance. But again, they're showing that teapot way too many times.
It's weird that Nauticon and Crux and Acronix are the only main season villains who are still alive, who aren't here.
Yeah, they even mentioned Crux and Acronix too. They didn't mention Nauticon, but
you want to count him
for obvious reasons. Klaus too. He's definitely possible. But we got another super. We got a super chat. He is dead. He's in the departed realm, or
he's in the underworld.
Right? Underworld. We got a super chat from World of Cars Entertainment for $4.99. Thank you again for the super chat. A little fun fact: an episode absolute worse, when Fuji told his story, Jay said, "Maybe in a different time or place we could be allies." Foreshadowing.
Oh my god!
I wouldn't say that's foreshadowing, but it is definitely
something they
yeah. They're like, well,
awesome.
Why not? Why not? If they're going to prison, let's make them, for allies. That's in epic. A different weird way, and Fuji Dove's weird way. Cool. But very cool. Thank you for bringing that up. That is a really cool little tidbit. But
we really only have two big things left, I think.
Yes.
And it's Mechanic and then Harumi. Let's do Mechanic first, because it's easy.
He's leveled up something.
He's actually cool now.
He's really cool now.
It's weird how cool he is.
The animation was great.
The animation was really good with his fight, the arms moving all around.
Really liked it.
He's well prepared. He's been waiting for this. So, it's really interesting, because the Mechanic wasn't really a major villain until Prime Empire, and they even mentioned that in the show. Which is weird, because at least in my perspective, he was always kind of a bigger villain, and I didn't know why I thought that and no one else did. And it's because I wrote a fan fiction where he was the main villain. So I took some time with him as a character, and I was like, yeah, he's a pretty big villain, but that's just because I have messed around with him in the past.
That's awesome.
So obviously this is the real first time besides Prime Empire that he's been taken to a new level.
Even when you look back at Prime Empire, he was always competent there too. He raided Borg Tower, and the ninja couldn't really stop him. He got what he wanted. Yeah. They just stole the motherboard, but they didn't beat him even then.
Yeah.
but I think it was just about how it was framed. No one
Yeah.
really like took him that seriously.
Yeah.
I think the problem was always like how contrived it was that he beat the ninja. Like you always thought like, why wouldn't they beat him? They are way more powerful. But in
He's
this
just
he,
the
he
guy.
does actually seem powerful.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He has like enough gadgets and enough stuff going on to where he has a lot of like combat flow, and he can always maneuver around like the environment. He definitely seems like the kind of villain that it would make sense that he would hide out in an abandoned arcade. He would rig it with booby traps. So
Yeah.
if people come up to him, they're fighting on his territory where he has every advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
They also once again took his truck without asking.
Very cool truck. Again, as I call back to what he originally was back in, I guess, Skybound was when we found out that he worked for Chen. So it was like a little tiny callback that he works in a noodle truck because he used to work for Chen.
Makes sense.
Magic Ninja 6195 with a super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Says, by the way, I think Fugitive might secretly be a ninja.
I don't know about that, but that would be epic.
Which ninja? Or like, because I don't know. Maybe he's trained. I haven't really seen him pull off some ninja moves.
I doubt it, but I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm sure Fugitive would say he's one.
Yeah. Maybe now he'll be like, yes, I am now no longer a villain. I am now a ninja.
I think he's committed to the criminal life.
That is
He's a real OG.
But yeah,
I don't really have too much else to say on the mechanic besides I liked seeing him. I have bigger issues about how it is kind of annoying that the ninja are so inept in general this season, because it makes it, I don't know which is which. Has the mechanic leveled up or have the ninja leveled down? Because one is a lot cooler than the other.
I think that scene, it very much seemed like the mechanic leveled up because of the way like the combat looked and worked. But there was also like the moment where like Jay electrocutes the other ninja and he's like, oh wow, you're really out of practice. So I feel like they were kind of going for both.
Yeah. And I can sense both as well. The ninja obviously are, out of touch, out of practice for a year. And mechanic has worked on his gadgets and we've seen them. Like, I don't know if his arm has been like that before. I honestly don't remember if he had that in Prime Empire.
I don't think so. Like not like that.
Yeah, not like that. So like he's definitely terrifying. I'm curious to see what he's going to do once he becomes an official general. But yeah, mechanic is definitely threatening, a lot more threatening. And Lloyd is not very threatening as the mechanic either. He's improved his undercover look a lot. I'm not really sure why they sent Lloyd. He looks nothing like the mechanic and he's got blonde hair poking out. We all know the best master of disguise, Cole, would be able to go there. He's the master of wearing bushy mustaches. But they also probably needed to get Lloyd there for story reasons.
Yeah,
so
it had to be Lloyd for story reasons. Yeah. But at least I'm very glad they explained why it wasn't Zane, because they reused his cloaking thing earlier in the season and it would have been like an immediate plot hole. But luckily they had a good explanation for that.
He needed to be there to like track him.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
Good. So now we kind of go into the big part of the season. Before we even get to Harumi, we get to
the big part of the season. The Among Us reference.
The Among Us reference.
The most important part of the season is Among Us.
There's definitely a big theory that Dakota has that I am 100% behind, where Lloyd gets into this very technologically advanced car, the mouse, the gamer mouse, the like something that I think LJ and I were like, it looks like the thing from The Incredibles, and then he zooms off. And when Zane opened up his little like map, it looked like he was headed to the dead center of Primeval's eye. And Dakota, what's in the dead center of Primeval's eye?
You see, in the dead center of Primeval's eye, and there's Krabby, the big crab they fight in Sons of Garmadon.
The most important.
And Krabby's right next to the Oni Temple.
The Oni Temple from Sons of Garmadon.
Yeah.
Which I think, based off of stuff we've seen in the trailers, cross-reference with stuff we've seen in Sons of Garmadon, seems like that is exactly where Lloyd is heading. And in there we get to see the Vengestone army, sort of like the Stone Army, but of course instead of made out of like the material on the Dark Island, they're made out of Vengestone, which is a lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
There are crystals everywhere, kind of jutting out of the ground, and all these weird places. And then they go up to the table, and you get to see the council almost formed, and we get little banter and whatnot, and then we get the Among Us joke, which
Can I please talk about Mr. F?
Yes, talk about Mr. F.
We get Mr. F, and they say he's the new model. So this very much implies that Mr. E, of course, is the previous model, might imply that there were models before Mr. E, but doesn't really answer too many questions about where Mr. E came from, which I like, because I'm a huge fan of Mr. E. He's probably like my favorite Ninjago villain, even though I don't know, he doesn't have a lot of character necessarily.
Plays a lot with Innie.
Yeah, I mean, his character is being cool, okay?
I agree, I like it.
But, I'm fine with them not fully explaining the backstory. I feel like that adds a lot of intrigue to Mr. E/Mr. F. But I feel like having the chance to have him here, we should get some hints or some kind of explanations.
He's a weird thing because we know the backstory, but we also don't know the backstory because it's not
the
canon.
Intended backstory, but I don't think they'll go with that now, because that would A, be pretty boring, because we all know that one, and B, not really work with the idea of there are multiple of him. I think. Go ahead. I think if you want to salvage the intended backstory, it could be that they, maybe the Crystal King or whoever made Mr. E and F, found Echo Zane and built him on his template, pretty much how the Nindroids were built on Zane's template. But yeah, there are a lot of different things they could do with the character.
One thing that I am not a huge fan of is that he's a general. And I know, Sakota, you're gonna seethe at me, but he also he's a big character in Ninjago, and he was a big part of Sons of Garmadon.
Yeah, I get what you're going for.
If Harumi is one of them, then Mr. F should be working for Harumi, and Harumi is the general.
Harumi is not a general, though.
That is true. According to the set, she's like the
and
thing,
she
right?
also said that she's how did you call it? She's direct. She's in a different position than the general. She's
fair.
Directly working for the Crystal
Herald.
King.
Thank you, Dirk.
Yeah.
Talking to me. She's the herald. So I can maybe she
important.
Maybe she made him a general because of that, but
because
it just
of her
feels
previous experiences with Mr. E.
It just feels weird that there's a general that doesn't talk, which is a kind of because I feel like generals are like the people that lead people, and if you're gonna lead people and not talk, kind of feels a little weird.
He's just gonna lead by example, and he starts by shooting Lloyd.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you're gonna
do what you got to do, man. It just feels a little weird for me.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, he was a general of the Sons of Garmadon before, like Mr. E.
That is true. He was a general.
But he's definitely he wasn't the main villain of Sons of Garmadon. So, and all the other generals, mechanics debatable, but are the main villains.
Are very much very villainous. Pythora, Sphera, Angelus.
Mr. E was the red herring in Sons of Garmadon.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of people thought for a long time he's the main villain before Harumi was revealed. So I get why he'd be on that level.
He's he's like Ninjago's weirdest character because we know the backstory, but we don't. He was implied to be way more relevant than he ended up being, so he's relevant to the fans, but not really to the show. kind of strange. It makes me wonder what they're gonna do with him.
He's also very powerful though. Like he beat up a ninja one-on-one, which most of the other villains didn't.
That is very true. Like I don't think many other villains have that on their docket, a 1v1.
Yeah, and I mean, with the Oni mask, he even fought all of them.
Yeah,
that's true. I forgot about that. The best scene ever. Yeah, you're right. I wonder if they'll like break out the Oni mask and he'll like put it on again.
Oh, please.
Maybe.
Also, if I need that design, please. Can you just change the design to that one in the super expensive Kai car and I'll buy it?
Yeah, it's weird how like his original design is so good, but then like the crystallized design is not good. Like when he gets his crystal powers. Yeah. Like it just goes down.
He gets a downgrade. Which hopefully it isn't the case. Like maybe he'll be a little different. And then we get the Among Us joke, which I know they did that on purpose. They probably wrote that during the height of Among Us. And so they're like, oh, we have the situation, why not? You have a imposter.
It was brilliant, and I thank them for it.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. Peak writing.
I love how they basically all turned it into an emergency meeting, like calling out each other and like, what are you doing? It was so good. And then got the proof. Lloyd did a little like look over there, which worked for some reason. And then they all attack him. He almost makes it out. Pythor grabs him while he was invisible, which was a nice little reminder that he can do that.
Also, like, very similar to what he did in season 1.
Very similar. I've seen that edit online. Very, very clever. And it's like a sense of, like, almost pride. Like, seeing that next to Crystalized, knowing how much has gone by. And we've
quite a journey.
It's cool. I mean, Lloyd has grown up so much since then, and yet he is falling for the same thing. Mr. E is eventually the one that shoots him down. It is like a metaphor. Or Mr. E. Mr. F is the one that shoots him down. And then we get the unmasking. And there she is in all of her glory, singing her little spider song. And Lloyd passes out. Harumi
I was so surprised.
Back, right? Oh my god,
we see her.
Oh, who could have it been?
Yeah, it was so epic. It was so
surprising.
AJ, it was the greatest surprise ever in all of fiction. Greatest plot twist.
There is only one thing I must say. Y'all better make it work, because Nia coming back is one thing. Harumi coming back is a completely different beast.
I have more faith that Harumi could be made to work than I do Nia, ironically enough.
Well, that's fair. Harumi is one of my favorite villains, so... Yeah, I mean, Nia's a big thing, and they've already kind of started it, and I have more faith seeing what they've done. Harumi is one of my favorite villains, and I thought her entire journey, except for, like, some of the middle bits, was shaky, but I loved her entire journey, and her being back is exciting, but also, like, she died. And she's confirmed to have died.
She didn't die. I've been saying this all along for years.
She just
surfed the building. I said it on the episode where she died. And wow, look at me later on. LJ, if you're still out there in the ether, year of vindication.
No, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I know. Probably not.
Can I present the theory, the one that Meso hates?
Go on. It's gonna kill me.
Yeah, I'll finish the job now. I've seen the theory. I first seen it from Sam. Some people might know him in the Ninjago community. He edits stuff for the Fold. That this Harumi might be the NPC from Prime Empire after escaping the game through the portal. And I think that's a pretty clever way to have
it's a clever way,
quote unquote, back in our world.
I understand how that, and it's plausible. I hate that it's plausible, and I hate that idea so much because it doesn't, like, it's not, I want the trauma between her and Lloyd, not the one-sided trauma.
as an explanation, that has fewer plot holes than her coming back from the dead does. I just feel like it also has more, like, it has less potential storytelling routes to take. It's like, oh, it's code, and it's not even a convincing code. It's a code that couldn't even remember, like, basic details about, like, Harumi's life. It's basically just her in, like, image only.
Yeah, but I mean, she could learn. She could
learn.
Get like information from the Crystal King.
For me to believe that, I would need to we would need to go back and fix Prime Empire, which is a task I don't think this season is like up to doing. I would need to learn more about like how Harumi came about, like, in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, because I just kind of always assumed she was a trick by Unagami.
Yeah. I mean, I think she is, but technically all of Prime Empire is a trick by Unagami.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she was created just by scanning Lloyd's like brain. And it would be interesting in Prime Empire if she was literally like they scanned Lloyd's brain and they created her as like the perfect antithesis of him. But that would also require that she has all of the memories that Lloyd witnessed, which means that she would have been able to answer the question that Lloyd presented.
That little writing choice from years ago that was so questionable then would rear its ugly head again and doom the idea. But I'm just like, why? Why'd they have to do it that way?
So I don't know what they're gonna do with Harumi. I really hope that like she is respected in the sense of like I don't even know. Like I'm scared that she's gonna get messed up and like her reasoning for coming back is just because they want, you know, someone who has really affected Lloyd back in the picture, and their reasoning for bringing her in is very like, you know, half-baked. And they just kind of get her there. But
to my understanding, I can't believe I'm going to defend Harumi coming back. God, what's wrong with me? To my understanding, the reason why a lot of people are concerned is because, number one, she died, but number two, they feel like her coming back and to just be like a villain that wants to destroy the city is like a betrayal to her character, right? That's the reason. That's a reason.
A reason.
I would contest she never really had that arc, and that it was mainly like headcanoned by people. She had a moment of familiarity with a very specific kid that mirrored her own personal trauma, and she worked to save that particular kid. There were hints there towards like, oh, I've become, you know, the monster that I was pissed off at for so long. But because she immediately then died, I don't feel like that arc was fleshed out to that point of self-discovery to where that was something I could believe, because she was more than fine with Garmadon like trampling buildings and like crushing cars and like doing all this sorts of stuff. More than fine. She wanted to be his daughter.
But like Meso, do you think she'd be more than fine working with Pythor?
That's the interesting point that was raised.
I don't think he knows. How could she know?
I'm going to reach, like, again, this is my very cynical moment. They're in an environment that's so interesting to me. That is the thing that I'm most curious about. Harumi and Pythor. Because they've written, there's so much like dramatic storytelling potential to be had there. Will they even remember that that's a thing? Will the writers even realize that that is a thread to be pulled? If they do, that could be the linchpin for her arc.
I'm on the fence if they want to try to redeem her, since they were about to do that in Haunted, obviously with her being like the herald to the Crystal King is not looking like she's going to be redeemed. Depends on how attached she is to the Crystal King.
Depends on if the Crystal King's the reason she's alive.
Because there is a deep, very dormant Larumi fan in me. that thinks Lloyd and Harumi are so perfect, and that's probably because she was so good at playing the role.
I agree. I
fell for
shoot
it,
them too.
and
They're
I'm
great.
like, I want, like, there's a chance.
That she never liked him, though.
I know,
Suffer.
but it still lives on, Sakota. It still lives.
Harumi books says it multiple times that she pretty much hates him.
Yeah, she's trying to
But
kill
she
me,
also
but-
didn't.
Dakota the Dream Crusher.
My headcanon is that when she finally met Lloyd, she hated him so much, but then when she was interacting with him, it was harder to hate him. Anyway, I'll leave that for a different conversation.
You got a weird thing for one-sided abusive relationships.
That sounds really toxic.
Pretty toxic. I don't know. Like, I think it would be cool. I'd like to see her like have some kind of role where she's like questioning herself.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think would be the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Especially if they do it in a way where like, okay, so she comes back but is under like the Overlord's thrall, because like the Overlord is the Crystal King, basically.
No way. What? How? I don't see any proof of that. How could we know? What do you mean? It's the Overlord? It's not like the Overlord is in every single set. At least a symbol.
And who likes putting up the Overlord symbol.
Right, yeah. The Crystal King is just the Overlord's biggest fan. What were you saying, Tyler?
Well, it's just like, how do I put this? If she actually died and she's back under the thrall of him to like be a servant or be like an avatar of him,
Mm-hmm.
and the Overlord, I don't know, the Overlord's like vaguely like dark magic-y evil stuff. It's like something bringing out her like worst personality traits, something her darkest like impulses, something, and maybe they lean into that, and maybe they lean into the fact that she did have like a moment of contrition right before her death, where she was like, I've become the monster I sought to destroy, but like she's now tethered to life by like that hate.
Yeah.
And maybe, I don't know, talking to Lloyd, being with Lloyd, like being around him and dealing with Pythor would be like the catalysts for that to start shifting a little.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to do that.
Yeah. We could also there could be a compromise solution between our two theories where it is the Prime Empire NPC, but she's basically just a blank slate. And the Crystal King knows like how much power her face has over Lloyd, and basically indoctrinates her, tells her the things he wants her to know, basically.
Like, and one thing we can all agree on is the fact that
she wouldn't care about Pythor, but also like know some things that hurt Lloyd.
Mm-hmm. One thing that we can pretty much all agree on is that Harumi is the villain of the series that has hurt Lloyd the most. Yeah. And that is something I think if the Overlord knew that, would appreciate.
Maybe Garmadon, but
I mean, Garmadon has, but only through what Harumi has done. Like, Harumi was the one that brought Garmadon in the way that hurt him the most. And then in the end, he ended up joining sides. Like, Harumi has like really, really, really hurt him. To the point where like, and now it's of course like, well, duh. He has been able to nonstop talk about her in almost every season except for Seabound. Like, she's always brought up and is part of the trauma of Lloyd. Yeah. And so obviously she is the villain that would affect him the most. Yeah. And if the Overlord knows that, then absolutely he's going to want that as like weaponry against him.
Yeah.
Depending on how he got her, whether it's through the avatar of Prime Empire, stuffed with like maybe the soul of dead Harumi, given a second chance, whatever the case is,
I'd much prefer if it was just like a Ghost Rider or Moon Knight scenario, and she really did get revived.
Yeah.
But like only while the Overlord is like tethered to life, basically.
Absolutely. We have 2 super chats very quickly by the same person called the artist formerly known as 2K Down the Drain.
26K down the drain.
26K,
the legend.
Sorry.
Yeah.
First one says Ninja Go Big or Ninja Go Home. NinjaCast Go.
Epic.
I like Ninja Go Big or Ninja Go Home. And then the second one is, wait, this podcast is about Ninjago? No, this podcast is about Harumi. Harumi!
Nice.
Spider in the house. One thing I'm going to quickly shout out. I don't know. Yes, Sathasilis, if you're still in the YouTube chat, I'm calling you out because you had an amazing discovery about the soundtrack with the crystal, not the Crystal King, but like the Kabuki mask theme. If you go back and listen to like the scene when Lloyd first meets the Kabuki mask, you kind of hear this like jarbled up melody that's kind of playing very faintly while he's talking to the Kabuki mask. And then other times when the Kabuki mask appears, you can kind of hear it. And then when Lloyd is witnessing the unmasking, that melody gets fixed and it's the spider song.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was there all along, kind of hidden from us, and Sathasilis recognized it and was able to figure it out. So, and I saw that on Twitter. So huge shout out to Sathasilis for discovering that. I figured that was something that is kind of important to mention. It's a cool thing that the composers have done with that theme. It goes along with the whole, kind of a shame that 12 episodes came out at once, because you could have figured that out and been like, that's really cool. Obviously it's Harumi because of that, but figuring it out officially through music instead of through the actual unmasking. So big shout out to Sathasilis. The artist formerly known as 26K Down the Drain has given us $10 now. Thank you so much. When I was a kid, I'd jam minifigures into my mouth and chew on them. Interesting. Now Lego has personified them as if it'll make me empathize, and I feel bad now. Nice try, Lego. My therapist can't stop me, and neither will you.
Based.
You have become the great devourer of Lego.
No.
You're gonna cause Harumi to spawn now.
That's so epic.
That's very epic.
I love it.
Thank you again for the super chats. We really appreciate it. But yeah. Theory time. Do anyone have any theories and predictions for what is to come?
I'll be honest, I'm tired.
Stuff
will happen, things will occur, and antics will ensue.
Lloyd will be
I
sad.
have my whole bunch of theories about the only Lloyd minifigure, but I've posted them before. I don't know if I should explain them. I think it would take a while.
Yeah, I mean, we're this podcast is
Almost
3.5 hours long.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
We probably don't have much time for theories. Yeah. The thing about me and my critiques, I'm just there are things I don't like, and there are things I like, but they're all theoretical. My whole thing about the ninjas arcs and stuff that I harp on about. It's not like I have any ideas for what their arcs should be. I just none come to mind. So I question how valid it is. I'm sure they could do something great with Nia. I'm sure they could do something great with Harumi. I'm sure they could do something great with any of them. I'd love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I will say, first 12 episodes, they impressed me. They did things I didn't think they'd be able to do, and they did them in a way that made me not hate them, which I think I greatly respect. The diversity in locations and characters, stuff's constantly changing, helped make it not boring. Lots of cameos, lots of references, and lots of mystery. The things I didn't like really come down to dumb ninja, recycled plot points, and my worries about the resurrections. Those are like the big three, and they could save all that. So we might be in for an epic second half if they do well.
Yeah.
All right. So go ahead.
Yeah, I overall really enjoyed these episodes. It very much feels like some kind of finale, some kind of big event, very different from your usual Ninjago season, and it's a very like big spectacle show and super funny too. So really enjoyed the episodes. I have my concerns about mainly them bringing back Harumi and Nia, and what like especially like those concerns, especially for Nia, might not even affect this season, but maybe going forward the future of Ninjago. So I think like at the end of this season, I think it will be a great season. But I don't know if some of the things they are doing might cause problems in the future.
Fair enough. AJ?
Well, I'm enjoying the season so far. I know I've sounded basically like apathetic this entire podcast. But I am enjoying it. I'm curious where it's gonna go. Like I said, I haven't really got any like full opinions until the season's over and I can see the full thing. But definitely curious and looking forward to the new episodes to see what they do.
You're giving it a chance, basically.
Yeah.
Impress me.
Letting it play out.
Good.
Yeah.
Braggy has done his job. Somehow. Somehow, mostly. We'll see what happens.
Do your job with Ronan now, please.
Do your job with Harumi, please.
I beg.
LJ.
These are really good episodes. I've been enjoying them. I need to see how all this concludes before I can kind of have a full opinion on everything. I'd say I'm having a good time. There are a lot of good. There's a lot of good stuff in them, but there are just a handful of questionable aspects that are just holding it back for me just a little bit. So, but I'm having a good time.
Cool. And I'm pretty much a mixture of what everyone has been saying so far. It's a promising season. Couple things are on the fence. Got to see more to find out, which is good. That's the whole point of a season not coming out at once. And characters are great. The ninja are kind of stupid, but they're the ninja. They're hilarious. I think the humor is outstanding this season, as always.
Oh, absolutely. This is like one of the funniest seasons.
It's better than usual, even.
Better than usual.
High hits and low hits. Like I think almost every joke has landed. And of course the emotion is still in there, obviously, with like the first 2 episodes being hard hitters for emotion. Very, very well done. Voice acting is at its best, I would say, this season. Even like funny lines are done. Sorry, Brent Miller, that you haven't been able to emote much, but you're doing great not emoting. And Andrew Francis is absolutely killing it as Cole. He's doing a fantastic job. And
I mean this, and like obviously no disrespect, because I love Kobe Morrow and he will always be Cole. But by the end of the 12th episode, I don't even question Andrew Francis in the role. It feels perfectly fine. I love it.
Knocking it out of the park.
He did a great job on the Kabuki mask character.
Yes. That was something that we caught on the trailer when we heard it for the first time. We're like, that sounds kind of like Andrew Francis. And then when we got to see the credits, and it sure was. He was very menacing, kind of getting to that like kind of lower register, and it sounded really good. So he's doing a great job. So shout out to Andrew Francis for that. I'm curious to see how the episodes are going to come out next. We don't know from what source, if it's going to be from Lego, if it's going to be from another country, when it's going to come out, if it's going to be tomorrow, if it's going to be in a month, if it's going to be in November. We don't know. And hopefully it's soon and in a good way. But yeah, the only thing we didn't talk about is the intro. The jam session of the new whip.
Yeah, the new whip is
so
great.
good.
Like, I mean, it was literally a jam session every single time. It's one thing that we noticed early on is that it's a mixture of the weekend whip as well as like the Ninjago theme.
But on like a sick guitar.
But on a guitar, so like it was the Ninjago riff, and I was like, this is something that I never knew that I needed. And now I want to hear the full thing like yesterday.
Yeah.
They've been popping off with the whips literally since like since the soft reboot. There hasn't been like a bad one. I love like the Fire and Ice chapter. I love the
Arcadian was great.
The Arcadian is like my favorite. Shintaro Dungeon Whip is like god tier. I wish Seabound had gotten one. It annoys me that it didn't. But this one's great. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. It's like a communion of the two things, and it once again reminds us that this is a really big season and stuff is going down. And maybe the weekend whip will play into the story. Who knows? Maybe the weekend whip will save the ninja. We don't know that quite yet. We got some time.
World of Cars Entertainment.
Thank you.
199 says Andrew did a great job as Cole. Rip Kirby Mora.
Yes, thank you so much. I agree. But yeah, I think that's it. Am I? Oh,
no, we need to end.
I know we need to end, but I have to mention it. How can I not mention it?
Easily.
Yeah, I'm in the season, y'all.
Oh yeah.
Me along with the 3 other community members have made it into the season, and we completely forgot to talk about
Congratulations.
it. So thanks to Joshua Deck, who did the designs for all of us. We were in, I think, most visibly the courtroom scene. You can see Marvelous Jan, Ninja Whip, then Joshua Deck, and myself sitting and watching. And then we're also kind of extras and a few other bits. I think so far you've only seen us in the bus. But we're around and we're living in Ninjago City, and it is an absolute honor to be a part of the of those episodes and being a part of Ninjago. It is like a dream that I didn't even think I had, and it was able to happen. So that is a very special thing that I can take part of, and I almost forgot to mention it. but yeah, so hoping to be able to catch more of that in the future. So
you should have saved the ninja, Haley. You were
I know.
It's your fault.
We were part of the jury, and we were like, they can go to prison.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Oh well. But yeah, okay, that's it. We're done now. That's Crystalized so far. Stay tuned, of course, for the Garmadon comic NinjagoCast that we're going to have in the future. Whenever new episodes come out, expect NinjagoCast reacts to follow. We got lucky with the scheduling this time, and we had the honor to have Joshua Deck. So if you haven't seen those NinjagoCast reacts, absolutely go check them out. Lots of funny moments, lots of great moments of discovery and whatnot. So check those out. And yeah. Any last comments? Anything else? Time to get to sleep.
This podcast must end.
The podcast must end. LJ, hit the music.
Done.
Yeah, I'm gonna pretend I hear it. Thank you all for joining us today for NinjagoCast for Crystalized episodes 1 through 12. Holy crap, Lego! Don't do that again. They're probably gonna do it again. I have been Sensei Wolf.
I'm LJ.
I'm Meso.
Sakota.
I'm AJ.
And this has been your 3-hour recap and talk about Crystalized.
Almost
if you made it all the way to the end, give us a justice for what's his name?
Hound Dog McBride.
If you made it all the way there, let us know. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.